It's time for Sports 56 Middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. The first hour of Sports 56 Middays is brought to you by Action247.com. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
I got a piece of land out in the countryside. Lay back and smell the sun. Warm up the Georgia pie. Feels so good to be taking it easy. Why would I ever leave? 'Cause I know I got some good friends that live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Sports 56 Middays, the Thursday, February 25th, 2021 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd once again in for Gabe Kuhn today. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Their factory direct pool and patio sale continues. Make sure when you stop by Family Leisure to check out all the great things they have to offer. You pick up a Sports 56 mask while supplies last and wear your mask. I had my Sports 56 mask on yesterday working out, so it's the first time I used that, and it's a great mask. Love it, so make sure you pick one of those up. Action247.com is the first hour sponsor of Sports 56 Middays. We can't thank them enough for being a part of our program each and every day. We are loaded today. We got a lot to get to. We'll kick things off in just a moment talking some Tigers and Grizzlies. Cody Topper, Tigers assistant coach, will join us at 10:25. The return of the Tigers last night, the return of Cody and others who got hit and got hit bad with the COVID virus. We will talk to Cody about what that was all about, how he dealt with that, he and his wife and the team, of course, and then them back on the court last night. It wasn't a Picasso, but it was a W. We'll talk Ole Miss baseball at 11:05 with the head honcho, Mike Bianco. All Ole Miss has done so far is gone 4-0, 3 wins in Texas, and they're now the number one team in the entire country. So that's going to be fun to talk to Mike Bianco. Always a pleasure to have him on the program. We will do 2.5 questions at either 11:30 or 12:05. Have a little fun with that. And then at 12:25, Colin Ward Henninger will join us from CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ. We'll talk NBA with him as we are approaching the All-Star break. The second half schedule came out yesterday. It's brutal for the Grizzlies. We will go over that. More information on the Tiger Woods crash and a lot of other things coming up on the program. If you have a question or a comment, you want to participate in the program, you can do so via the First Bank text line at 67129. When we have an open segment with no guest, with the exception of maybe this first segment, you're always able to pick up a phone, give us a call. Love conversing with you, 360-8255. First Bank phone number, 360-8255. You just want to kick back, relax, and listen to the show, that's perfectly fine as well. Eli, how are you today?
I'm solid.
You're solid?
Solid.
I've just been told, little update information, Family Leisure's out of the masks.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. That means a lot of people listened to us. They went over there, they picked up their masks, and hopefully they're using them. That doesn't guarantee they're using them, but hopefully they are. But they are completely out of mask. It doesn't mean, though, you can't stop by with your own mask and check out what they have to offer. But, only so far today.
I'm solid. I think solid's good. Solid's a good thing.
Well, there was once a song called Solid as a Rock, so I guess solid's okay. The rain is coming. I know that.
That's liquid.
That's liquid. Yeah, that's true. The rain could put a damper on the homestand opener for the Memphis Tigers baseball team. They got 4 scheduled against Grambling State starting tomorrow afternoon, so not sure what's going on with that, but rain is in the forecast for each day.
So I'm not liquid, and I don't have gas, so we're good.
Well, at least you don't have right now. I'm glad we're in a separate studio when you're talking about gas. But
I have gas in my car.
That's
a good
true.
thing.
That's true.
That's always a good thing. That's got to make sure you have that.
Not a lot of gas in the Tigers' tank last night, but to be expected. That game was exactly what I thought it would be. The Tigers played smothering defense, showed their rustiness offensively. Boogie Ellis had a pretty darn good night. 13 points and 5 rebounds. But after that, it was pretty much across the board contributions from everybody on a limited basis. DeAndre Williams had a pretty solid game. But when you look at what they did with the depth, you had 6 players that scored 6 points two more that scored 5 points. And then, as I mentioned, Boogie Ellis scored 13. So you got contributions from everybody, but nobody really went off. The team, as expected, beat Tulane. Tulane's really bad. They had so many open shots they couldn't knock them down. But some of that was they're just bad. The other thing was that Memphis did play some really good defense. They prevented Tulane from going inside and scoring inside the paint. So all in all, for the first game in 18 days, yes, it was what we expected, but it's a W. You move on, and now you get ready for Cincinnati on the road on Sunday, a Cincinnati team that's starting to play better and beat Tulsa, the Tigers' Achilles heel, yesterday 70-69.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly ugly, which was very much expected. And the thing is, offensively, you're probably going to have more signs of rust than defensively. Defensively, other than conditioning issues, you can come out and continue to play the defense that they have played all year. They have actually moved to number 2 now in Ken Palm's defensive efficiency rankings after last night, holding Tulane to the 46 points and 15 of 58 shooting, out rebounding them 53-29. So, your offense wasn't probably going to be very good. So you want to make sure you do a great job on the defensive end, and they did that. I mean, it was, there is some of it is the fact that Tulane is still Tulane. But yeah, you still have to give the Tigers a lot of credit. Again, out rebounding them 53-29 is massive, and you get a win. So now you at least got a game under your belt. You get to do a little bit more practice, a little bit more conditioning, try and get guys back to game shape, and hope that the offense improves going forward.
With the victory, the Tigers improved to 13-6 overall, 9-3 in the conference. Now, there was an announcement earlier in the day that next week's scheduled game at South Florida, which was scheduled for Wednesday, has been moved up a day to Tuesday. It does not appear that the Tigers are adding any game this week. So you have Cincinnati on the road on Sunday. You have USF on the road on Tuesday. It does appear that they're trying to add a game for probably that Thursday or Friday against either Houston or Wichita State. So to get both those teams back on the schedule is not going to happen. Now, Houston's already on the schedule for that second game, and that'll be a week from this Sunday. But to get the first game that was postponed against Houston, or that road game at Wichita State, which was postponed from last Thursday, I think you may get one of those back. You're not getting both of those back. Because, again, Cincinnati Sunday, USF Tuesday, I believe they'll have one of those games Thursday or Friday to make up, and then Sunday, Houston. So I think that's where they're going as far as the rest of the schedule is concerned. But it really comes down to whether or not the Tigers can beat Houston. And Houston plays a non-conference game tonight as they will host Western Kentucky. Just added that game several days ago.
Yeah, I know Penny said last night after the game that he would prefer, I think, to add Houston if they had. To me, as I said the other day, I think I would rather, if I was them, add Wichita State and try and get the season sweep of Wichita State, a road win at Wichita State,
maybe a quadrant 1 win.
Yeah, which could end up being a quadrant 1 win. I mean, Houston will be a quadrant 1 win regardless if you get it. But it also knocks Wichita State, if you could beat them, out of the top spot in the conference, and gives you that opportunity still, to get there. Because if Wichita State doesn't lose again, they're winning the conference. Somebody's got to beat them. So to me, you do that. Then if you were to beat Houston, you could be the regular season champions of the conference if you beat Wichita State and Houston. So to me, I think, but I just think getting the season sweep of Wichita State sets you up better to try and be ahead, to separate yourself from them when you're looking at when the committee's looking at the next team in the conference after Houston.
I agree. I see where Penny's coming from, but I see where you're coming from as well. Plus, with your scenario, maybe you avoid the 2-3 semifinal with Houston if things fall the way you hope they will fall. But if you get that top seed, Houston's going to be 2 or 3, so Houston's going to play in that semifinal game if it's chalk, and Memphis would avoid both those teams. So, yes, I think it's very important either way to get Wichita State or Houston added to that schedule. But I can see where you're coming from, where adding Wichita State, having a chance to sweep that series, win a roadie, get maybe a quadrant 1 win, and kind of put your foot on Wichita State and leap over them. And then it's Houston. It's still going to come down to beating Houston that Sunday. And then you go into the conference tournament and you see what happens. But if you want to be in the conversation for an at-large, you're going to have to beat Houston on that Sunday. And if you're making up that game against Wichita State, you're going to have to win that game as well. If they make up the Houston game, you split the 2 with Houston, again, pretty good. Pretty good. But I see your situation. I see your scenario, and I tend to agree with that. So we'll get back to the Tigers when Cody Topper joins us at 10:25. But I wanted to shift gears and get into the Grizzlies as well, as they will play 2 with the Clippers tonight and tomorrow night at FedEx Forum. The Grizzlies now under 500 at 13-14. And then they got a few games next week before they got a game, I think, on Sunday, right? And a couple next week, and then the All-Star break. But the second half schedule was unveiled yesterday. The Grizzlies will play 40 games, and it is as brutal as you could imagine. Here's a little bit of the highlights of the schedule, the second half schedule for the Grizzlies. They will play 11 back-to-back sets. In March, they have 13 games in 31 days, 7 home, 6 away. Now, this is just the games for the second half, technically, not the few games they have coming up in March. So this is just from when they resume play after the All-Star break. That's what Memphis has, 13 games. In April, 17 games in 30 days, 6 homes and 11 away. And then in May, they'll play up until May 16th, and then the postseason will come up after that. Who knows if the Grizzlies will be a part of the playoffs, the play-in, whatever. May 10th, or make that 10 games in May, 16 days. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of games, probably limited practices, if any. 5 home, 5 away in May. So the bulk of your games in the second half of the season are away games. You have 11 back-to-backs, as I mentioned. And that will include a Memphis franchise record 7-game road trip, April 16th to the 26th. It's not a franchise record because they had a longer trip in a shorter time period in Vancouver. But here in Memphis, that will be the longest, 7 games, and they will do it within the 10-day period, April 16th to the 26th. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, this is we knew it was going to be rough because you had all of those rescheduled games that they have to get in, so you're adding so many extra games in there, but never having more than 1 day off in a row. Like that's from over a little over 2 month stretch. You never have 2 days off in a row. That's tough. Now, granted, that might end up happening because you could still have more games postponed or something like that. So you may end up getting 2 days off in a row, but they do not have any 2 days off in a row scheduled. And that road trip, not just a 7-game road trip, but you're looking at after the Chicago game, which starts the road trip, and Chicago's only a game under 500 now. The other 6 are against playoff teams, some of the better teams. You're talking Denver twice, the Clippers, and Portland twice, and Milwaukee as the other teams on that road trip. I mean, that's some of the best teams in the NBA to be your last 6 games of a 7-game road trip.
Wow.
And you're traveling from the Midwest to the West. I mean, that is a brutal road trip.
And not like the players, especially as the season progresses, care to practice too much. But when you're trying to integrate, I would imagine Jaren Jackson Jr., because they say he's going to play this year, but you're trying to integrate him back into the lineup, and you have some new players. And obviously with Winslow, you haven't had those two play together. There's going to be a lot of experimenting. There's going to be a lot of resting bodies. And I think if you are looking at things without those Beale Street blue-colored glasses on, I don't see how this team even qualifies for the play-in. I don't see how they're a top 10. Now, they have surprised me before, and they may surprise me again. And they'll go out there and they'll try to win. But I don't see them just going absolutely bonkers to try to win these games. What's more important is to find out who is going to be a part of this train moving forward, to keep everybody healthy, to give everybody an opportunity to see what lineups work, what rotations, how the bench is going to develop. Of course, we've got a trade deadline coming up in March. Who knows if they'll make any moves there? But they're playing, obviously, for the future. And if they don't make it to the play-in, they're not a top 10 in the West, then they're going to be in a pretty good position in the draft. And the draft looks strong. The experts say this is a strong draft compared to last year, and maybe even get lucky in the lottery. So it's not a worst-case scenario if you don't go in. There's no waving the white flag. There's no tanking or anything like that. They're going to go out there and try to win these games. But I would not be surprised with that brutal schedule, how many games you're playing in such a short time period, that you're going to see guys rested, like we saw Saturday night against Phoenix when they rested both Grayson Allen and Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that they're going. If Jaren comes back, they'll be extremely cautious with him. They'll be extremely cautious with Justice. I would assume. Again, if you never, without ever having more than one day off in between games, that could end up being, and with 11 back-to-backs, that could be a lot of rest nights for a lot of guys. So I don't know. Who knows how many games some of these guys will play if again, this all gets played as scheduled.
You have the Clippers, as I mentioned, tonight, tomorrow night, at Houston Sunday, at Washington Tuesday, and then the Bucks next Thursday at FedEx Forum, and then the break. And then you open the second half of the season, technically the second half of the season, on Wednesday, March 10th at home against Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards, and then the gauntlet begins. We were talking about this on the show yesterday, anticipating the Memphis Hustle and their game yesterday afternoon against the Ignite team. And the Hustle fell 104-101. But in that game, for the Hustle, Jonte Porter played. He, again, is limited in his minutes. Had 14 points in 18 minutes. Now, that's a guy who, if he continues to get more minutes and they see improvement with his, he's not 100% yet. I don't want to say rehabilitation because he's playing, but he's still doing those type of things. He's a guy that could be in the mix for playing some games for the Grizzlies as the season progresses, once they wrap things up in the bubble in Orlando. Also in that game, Benny Boatwright at 21 points, and we had Jason March on recently, their coach, and he was glowing about this guy. And I'm reading a lot of things about Benny Boatwright that he should be a candidate for a 10-day contract, at least from some team in the NBA.
Oh, I fully believe if the Grizzlies, especially if they make some moves at the trade deadline, they clear up and have open roster spots, Benny Boatwright they will have Benny Boatwright on this team probably for the rest of the season. I know they like him a lot. Last year he just never could get on the floor because he was injured, but he's a 6'10" guy who could shoot threes. They love him, and I think the fact that he's showing he's healthy and playing well in the bubble, he will be absolutely if it's not with the Grizzlies, he will be in the NBA this season. I fully believe that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And most people believe that by the trade deadline, Gorgie Jang will be gone, that he won't be a part of the Grizzlies. He's certainly not a part of the future. And you feel for the guy because when he comes in, he competes, and he's a veteran player, but it is a business, and that's the way it goes in the NBA. Also,
and with that, in that game yesterday, of course, going against the G League Ignite, just what everybody expected, this young fella named Jarrett Jack ends up being the leading scorer in the game. Somebody should look at that kid, man. He looked good yesterday. He could probably help out a team. Just a young guy trying to find his way in the G League and doing it, and made the big defensive play at the end of the game to win the game for the Ignite. So I don't know why teams aren't looking at this Jarrett Jack kid.
How old is he now?
He's 37.
He's the kind of guy that would probably get you buckets at 45. It's just some guys they're gym rats. They just play basketball. They'll play basketball until their dying days. And Jared Jack leading the way with 22. Jonathan Kuminga had 17.7 rebounds, 5 assists. What did Jalen Green do in that game?
He was 4 of 15 from the field. He had 10 points. He did not shoot the ball well at all in that game.
So he'd be a perfect Grizzly.
It was a rough go for him, but Kuminga looked really good. The Hustle had a 12-point lead or 11-point lead. I don't remember if they got 12 in that second half, and then the Ignite team able to come back and steal the win late in that one.
One other quick NBA note, Devin Booker, as expected, has been named by the league as a replacement for Anthony Davis in the All-Star game after he was not picked originally. A lot of players took up the social media and just kind of went crazy. But then again, if you look at it in all seriousness, who should have been taken off the team? Well, Anthony Davis, of course, was selected by the coaches as a replacement, not as a replacement, but as a reserve, even though he's hurt. So you knew there had to be somebody to replace him, and it's going to be Devin Booker. Mike Conley still on the outside looking in, and that's unfortunate. If you watched Utah last night, guys, Conley and Utah just playing so well as they beat up on LeBron and the Lakers. LeBron without Anthony Davis, a whole different story with the Los Angeles Lakers. When we return, a great story, the Tigers returning to the hardwood. A not-so-great story, them having to deal with COVID-19. And one of the people that dealt with it very seriously, Cody Topper, Tigers assistant coach. We'll talk to him about that and many other things when we return. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 98.5.
Do you know who I am?
Who are you? I'm Superfly TNT.
Johnny Radio.
Where do you want to be? 1 to 3? Right here with me. Sports 56, 98.5, 96.1 FM, Monday through Friday. This is Sports 56 Happy Hour, your good buddy Johnny Radio.
It may be cold outside, but your deals keep getting hotter and hotter, Jeff. Hey, let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter with the Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah President's Day sales event.
We got you covered, Randy. Let's talk. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, redesigned inside and out, $149 a month lease. And a 2021 Kia K5, $182 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Plus, every Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, Soul, M7755,638, MSRP $20,660, K5, MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, include all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF $695, excludes tax filer license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
If ever there was a time for comfort food, this is it. And there's no comfort food like Sunrise on Jefferson. Fresh-made breakfast featuring Sunrise's signature homemade square biscuits or the huge selection of hot, fresh, and fast lunch items are all part of what has always made Sunrise the most comforting of comfort foods in Memphis. Of course, everything that can be done to keep you and the staff safe at Sunrise is a top priority. And you can always order ahead and get delicious Sunrise to go. At a time this confusing, it's good to know there's one thing you can count on: Sunrise.
The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great Winter Collection Sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
The President's Day sales event is going strong at Gossett Kia on Covington Pike. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. That's less than $5 a day for a new ride. 2021 Kia Soul, completely redesigned exterior and interior, $149 a month lease. And 2021 Kia K5, just $182 a month lease. All 36 months with $3149 due at signing, and they all come with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter in your new Kia from Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, Soul M7755 638, MSRP $20,660, K5 MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour is brought to you by Action247.com. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
The late, great leader of the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, once said, what a long, strange trip this has been. And it has been, no doubt, a strange trip for the Memphis Tigers, as well as other programs around the country. But we move on. The NCAA tournament does appear it will be played this year after a season that was void of the tournament. So we're all happy about that. But for the Memphis Tigers, just being back on the court last night was a victory. 18 days between their last game prior to last night. They get back on the court. They win a game 61-46. And we're glad that guys are doing well, especially our good friend Cody Toppert, who joins us now, Tigers assistant basketball coach, who you can follow on Twitter at Top33. He was one that was hit very harshly by COVID-19, and Cody joins us now on the program. Cody, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's good to be back at it and feeling much better. My goodness, that was a battle, but one that I'm glad we came out on the right side of.
Well, we want to talk to you about that, and we'll do that later on in the interview about just what it was like for you and your family, and, of course, your two families, your wife and kids, of course, having to deal with you and deal with that virus at home, and then, of course, your Tigers family. But let's start with the game from last night, the victory from last night. But I am staring right now at a photo from the commercial appeal from the little fracas that broke out late in that game yesterday. And there you are, front and center, right in the middle, wearing your mask, although I see the mask a little bit below the nose. And you are boxing out the entire Tulane Green Wave team. So tell us about that. I guess a lover, not a fighter, trying to prevent things from happening. Cody, you're right in the middle of this thing. Explain.
Well, last year we struggled on the defensive glass. So in the offseason, I really got out there, worked on my technique, got low, got physical. You really got to see it early, get those guys out of there, box them out, pursue those rebounds. But no, it was one of those things where I saw it happening and just kind of, knowing how our guys are going to have each other's backs and things of that nature. When I saw it going down, I was like, man, Tulane's messing with the wrong group of guys here. So I had to get in there and make sure that nothing unnecessary happens that impacts any of our other games moving forward. But, it was two teams going after it, getting physical. It got chippy the first time we played them. There were a couple technical fouls called. So there was already, a little bit of a chippiness, to that matchup. And especially because the time before, remember, we jumped out on them pretty good, up by 20 or so, and then they made a little run back at us to close it in there. But I'm just glad that something really serious happened. Obviously, Lesser had to leave because he came onto the playing surface and things like that. But I don't think there'll be any repercussions moving forward on that. I'm glad we just kind of escaped that and then got through the last 10 minutes. Good Lord, it took forever.
It did.
Can you explain what exactly the penalties were there? Because it was a timeout, so I didn't know the leaving the bench area. And then you guys shot the 3 free throws and then got the ball. So what did they actually hand out as far as penalties?
Yeah, so we got an and one for DJ, right? So he shot 1 free throw. Pardon me, you guys. I'm still recovering. This stuff's no joke, man. I'll talk about that later. But so we got the and one for DJ, and then originally they had tossed out DeAndre, like immediately tossed him out. But one of the refs caught number 5 slapping DeAndre in the face, which was what led to the whole instigation thing. Point of contention on our side is that there was a timeout, so Lester technically you would say should have been allowed to come onto the floor, but they thought because he wasn't being a peacemaker, they were going to play it on the safe side. No real use arguing at that point, up by 13, 14, 15. Let's just get the last 10 minutes over with and move on to the next one. But that was kind of what they came down with. Lester was just ejected with no technical fouls called on him. We shot our 2 techs for number 5, slapping DeAndre in the face, and then moved on to, continually fouled him with 10 minutes to go and allowed him to shoot 23 free throws. You know what I'm looking for, you guys? I'm looking for a turnover vaccine. I don't know if Pfizer's working on that one. But if Pfizer's working on a turnover vaccine, we really got to get our guys first in line.
Turnovers and free throw. If you have some magical free throw potion, that would help too.
I know. We're working on it. We'll figure it out. We'll keep mixing our recipes together and see what works.
Just one more thing on the Quinones ejection. Because he didn't really do anything other than go onto the court, I would doubt that the league suspends him for the Cincinnati game on Sunday. Is that the feeling that Quinones will be okay for Sunday?
Yeah, we asked the officiating crew, and they that was their initial inclination. So I would anticipate that being the case.
Okay. So as far as the game is concerned, I don't know about you, but from us on the outside looking in, we were just talking about it in the first segment. It was exactly what we thought would happen, that you guys would show some rust offensively, and of course you guys were clicking well before the COVID shutdown. The offense was playing much better, but we figured it would be tough to kind of get your legs under you. Boogie had a nice little shot going for the most part, but it was a struggle offensively. But defensively, that you would be able to continue to do what you've done all season long. So it went exactly as I thought it would. I thought you would take care of the guys. You win by 15 points. So are you happy with that being that first performance since the shutdown, getting that W over the Green Wave and the way you played?
I mean, anytime you come off a pause like that, I mean, that's almost like that's a way extended all-star break, right? So you expect there's going to be some rust. We did a little scrimmaging in practice to try and help our guys get their wind back and things of that nature. But there was no question in my mind that was going to be a game you just want to survive, right? Because you could easily overlook those guys. You could easily come in and think that, they're going to lay down. But we tried to tell the guys from the jump that we were going to have to take the game. And luckily for us, as we have, for years now, is just hanging our hat on the defense side of the ball. I think our adjusted defensive rating now jumped to 2nd in the country, right? And the thing on the other side of the ball when it comes to the offense was really a lot of just, Coach uses the term self-inflicted wounds, but they're really controllable things. I mean, you can't turn the ball over 26 times. You can't miss 11 free throws. I mean, those are things that are wholly controllable. I mean, if we get an additional 10 shots at the basket, just get a shot at the basket and we make 5 of those, or you get at least 1 point per possession on those extra shots. I mean, that's a totally different basketball game. We know that's been an Achilles heel of ours, for a while now, but we were showing signs of improvement during our little kind of stretch where we were kind of clicking. So good news is moving forward here, we got mainly teams playing man-to-man defense as well because we got a little indecisive against the zone, and I think our guys understand what's at stake over these next 4 games, so we're just going to get locked in and ready to rock. 3 road games in a row, and it's going to be a real important stretch for us.
How much was conditioning a factor for the guys last night?
Well, I think this was a great time for us to be a team that's 10, 11 deep. 12. We are a deep team, as we know. One guy scores in double figures in that game, you win by 15 points. Right now, think about that. That's pretty remarkable right there. We really spread it around. A lot of guys 6, 5. It was by committee, which is what it had to be, especially coming off of that long pause. So I think that was an instance where if you're one of those teams that's relying on 4 guys to play 30-plus minutes every night in order to get any type of production, that's a dangerous game then. You know what I mean? Yeah. But lucky for us, we're deep. We did it by committee. Obviously, defensively, I mean, you hold them to, what was it, 2 for 16, 2 for 18 from the three-point line. I mean, those guys shot, 26%, from the field for the game. That's pretty remarkable defensive performance. I don't care who you're playing. So it was good that we got it done, and we did what we needed to do, handle our business.
All right, you just mentioned the 3-game road trip coming up. So obviously that means the addition of a game. We already know that the USF game was moved up from Wednesday to Tuesday, and then you'll close with Houston, knock on wood, Sunday, a week from Sunday. So what team has been added? Is it Wichita State, or is it a second game with Houston?
The league has yet to make the final determination on that, so we're all kind of waiting to see. We might be on the tarmac waiting to tell the pilot, hey, we're going to Houston, we're going to Wichita. We don't know, but, we're going to have our bags packed, take an extra couple pairs of socks because we're going to be gone for a good bit. And it's going to be kind of like a professional road trip, right? From the NBA and things like that where, you've got to be prepared to go on the road for an extended period. The good news is playing games is always fun because it's easy to get up emotionally and get ready and get excited to play a basketball game. So I know our guys are looking forward to playing.
But definitely it will be a roadie either against one of those two. It's not going to be Houston coming in for 2 games or Wichita State all of a sudden coming to Memphis. It will absolutely be a road game.
Yeah, I was told to bring 5 pairs of socks for 5 days, so I'm not expecting to stay on the road.
So you talked about the turnovers, and I mean it is amazing when you look at the Ken Pom stuff and the non-steal turnover percentage, which you guys are last in the country. What can you do? I mean, it has been a problem all year long. What can be done? How do you try and solve this turnover issue?
It's a serious issue. It really is. As much as we joke around about it, it's a very serious issue. I've never really seen a team or a program or been around a team that it's just so hard to figure out why. Sometimes, why are we doing this at this particular time? Like, that's not even close. Not even close to being open, right? I just got done watching the film here again earlier this morning, and there are times it's just totally unforced. It's like a tennis unforced error. It wasn't what the defense did. It wasn't the pressure. It was just a bad decision. We've got to take steps forward in that. We've got to figure it out. We've got to do it quickly because, you could really attribute probably at least three of our losses to turnovers and free throws, things that are controllable. So, we punishment, running, push-ups, threats. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what you know short of figuring out what the vaccine is and trying to get that. But it's got to be a mentality. I mean, we've got to turn the corner on that. And now what some of our guys need to understand is, I mean, you look at, we've got Alex Lomax giving the ball, 2 very capable guards combined for 9 turnovers and 1 assist. That can't happen. And they've got to understand that when you have the ball and you take the decision, you take responsibility for that decision. I mean, you take responsibility for that decision, you've got to think of it like the floor is a chessboard. Because if you throw it to Malcolm Danridge at the three-point line, running down there, because you think he's open, well, you've got to think about who is he. KYP, know your personnel. Mm-hmm. What are his strengths? Don't put him in a bad decision, in a bad spot, right, with your decision. Because anything that happens after you throwing the ball at the three-point line on the break, that's not Malcolm's fault. That's your fault for throwing it to him in a bad spot, right? We've also got to be able to catch the ball underneath the basket and just finish. We had a lot of simple chippies. I think Tony Matlock was charted. We missed 11 layups, right? So, we've got to figure this out. I know we've got to do it quickly, but it's something that we're going to hone in on here in the next couple of days in preparation because Tulane was not a pressure team, really, and they were playing that zone the majority of the time. So a lot of it was just unforced again. So we've got to get that taken care of. We'll work our best to do so.
Well, with all those things that happened, and obviously a lot of it was rust, but the layups, the free throws, the turnovers, you still win the game by 15 with that smothering defense, and that's what you kind of hung your hat on is that defense. Now, as we get ready for this final stretch, you obviously look at the standings and you look at the projections and things of that nature. You guys are still on the outside looking in, but you can make some real big noise. You can't have a slip-up. How confident do you guys feel? What is the attitude like about this team coming off this COVID break, but knowing that maybe they can control their own destiny if they win out?
Well, I think that's the key term right there, control your own destiny. The best part about basketball is when you have control over the current result that's going to get you to where you want to get to at the end of the season. And that's really where we're at, right? And you can't overlook anybody. You got to take everybody serious because every single game, like the next 40 minutes we play, our season depends on that 40 minutes.
Right.
And that's the way you've got to approach it, right? You can't look at the whole. We've got to make sure that we just see what's right in front of us, right? So we've got to go out to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati obviously got a big win last night. That was they snatched one out of the jaws of death. But for us, staying in the moment is going to be imperative. But it's great that we do control our own destiny. I mean, you win 4 games, knock on wood, right? Hopefully we're playing Wichita State, right? And now all of a sudden you're there at the top of this thing, with only 3 losses in conference play. So you've got a shot. It's going to be up to us to handle our business. And I think that the guys feel confident. They're starting to click. They are. The offense, when we were going against man-to-man, is looking way better, more smooth, less ISO, less dribble, more passing, more, when we hit that 20 assist marker, we're pretty hard to beat.
You mentioned with Cincinnati, obviously the first game against them, you did end up not playing. I did watch the end of that game last night as they pulled that one out against Tulsa. Not, I guess, your normal maybe Cincinnati team that we've come to expect through the years, but what is this Cincinnati team?
I think the thing is they're a team that scraps. They scrap. Obviously, got the big fella inside there. They got Keith Williams, who's been pretty effective for them as of late. But with them, what they try to do is disrupt with their ball screen coverage. So they're going to try to ice us or keep us on the side of the ball screen. So we've got to make sure that we understand exactly what the reads are that are going to be open when they come and try to keep you and pin you on one side of the floor and not allow ball reversals through pick and roll. We've got to make sure that we've got those solutions down. So we know what the recipe is. I mean, we were deep into our preparations for them. Right after we come off the ECU game, we hit Monday, and we were really locked in on Cincinnati. So it shouldn't be a problem for us to pick up right where we left off with that one. I know the scout basically has already been prepared, and the game plan is ready to go. So it's just going to be about taking these next couple of days to review it, perfect it, and then execute it.
All right, I hate for you to have to relive what you just went through and many members of the team went through, but I think it's very educational for our listeners because the virus is still very prevalent, and you know that firsthand. Cody, can you kind of go over how it hit you and then how you dealt with it?
Yeah, it was, and then obviously who would have thought that Memphis turned into Antarctica at the same time, right? So
exactly.
Everything came together. It was a perfect storm. For me personally, I kind of just started to feel a little bit sluggish on Super Bowl Sunday. Kind of didn't really think anything of it. And then Monday we had practice, and by Monday afternoon, I was running a fever. I was exhausted. I was fatigued. I was feeling soreness in my muscles. And I'm somebody, who's in pretty decent shape. And I had always thought, to be honest, that I was going to be one of those guys that was basically like asymptomatic, really had relatively little effect on. And I had about a 5 to 7 day stretch. Me and my wife got pneumonia from it. Had a 5 to 7 day stretch where it was as bad of a sickness as I've been through. And what it did was it really opened my eyes to the seriousness of this, right? Because it is very, very serious. It affects different people in different ways, which is what's so remarkable to me. We've got graduate assistants who are 26, 25 years old, who are in excellent shape. I mean, very good shape, who are still not with the program right now because of lingering effects from it, because they just do not feel well. And then we've got a couple other players who they didn't even know barely if you would have told them they didn't have it, they would have said, okay, I don't have it. And you told me they did have it, you know what?
Right.
I have to have it. So it's really insane. And the crazier thing is, too, how it spread. On Monday, we ended up with 3 positives, and then, the next day is like 3 or 4 more, and the next day is 3 or 4 more. I mean, that thing spreads like wildfire. And we were over here in our bubble, being safe. We're not doing our kids have been very responsible during this. Same thing with the staff. So to see that happen, we're always masked up. We're always maintaining social distance. So to see how it spread just showed me, and to see the seriousness of it and experience it firsthand, everybody's got to continue to be out there and play this thing safe. We're not out of the woods yet. It also changed my view in terms of, looking at vaccinations. It was something I don't ever want to experience again. And so for me, as soon as I can get a vaccine, I'm going to be first in line as soon as it's possible.
It is. That's the thing that's weird to me is how different people are completely affected differently by it. Like it's weird that the same virus, just the complete range of how people are affected who can be very similar as far as their age and condition, and some people are just knocked on their butt by it, and others don't even know they ever had it, really.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's staggering to see and understand, and God willing, we'll get through this and come out on the other side. Just a better society in general, and more aware, I think, of our surroundings, and more aware of, things like washing your hands and all that stuff. But it's been an adventure. And that 10-day period, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Man, oh man, and then how were the kids, and what did you do as far as that's concerned? Because your wife got pneumonia, you had it. What about the kids?
Our little angels, bless their heart, they were sequestered basically in a back room with television, iPads. I mean, my wife, she was down for the count, so it was daddy daycare all day. Wow. And I wasn't feeling well myself. So, needless to say, there weren't any home cooked meals, right? We were living off frozen foods and bottled waters and just doing our best. But my girls, they were outstanding during that time. They really, really handled it in a very responsible manner, considering they're 5 and 3 years old. And, they want to hug mommy and daddy, kiss mommy and daddy, things of that nature. And we're just like, no, you guys got to stay back in this room. They handled it really well. Very difficult, though, it is, and on kids, right? Because when a family gets it, like a husband and a wife get it and the kids are in the house, I mean, our kids, they're out of school, too. They're not going to school for that 10 to 14-day period. And, they're just, but you can't get in close proximity, so you got to do your best to be in and out of that room and try to protect them from some space. Luckily, the virus, though, too, doesn't really transmit at that highly contagious level to children, that's probably the best aspect of it, right? That it doesn't impact young kids. Could you imagine with their young and developing immune systems if this thing attacked them the way it attacked adults?
Well, thank you for sharing that experience. I know it wasn't a great one, but it's going to be educational for all our listeners. Congratulations on the win last night, and hopefully we can get to catch back up with you, maybe tournament week, conference tournament, and who knows, hopefully the NCAA tournament as well. But, Cody, thank you. Glad you're back on your feet and getting better and the team back in action. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Wishing everyone out there the best, too. Definitely stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cody. Bye-bye. Wow.
It's a weird thing, man. Some people, it's like they're in perfectly great shape, younger, like it kills them. Just as he said, just for 7 to 10 days, where other people who could be very similar age, physical condition, everything else, could literally barely know they ever have it. I mean, It may go through without literally ever showing a single symptom of it. It's very strange how it's the range of effects it has on people that are very similar.
And even though he didn't say definitively it was Wichita State or Houston, it does appear, and we expected it as well, that there will be a game at it late next week, whether it's Thursday or Friday. It seemed like he was favoring Wichita State with what he said, kind of what you were talking about earlier, and I know Penny had said Houston, but they're going to get Houston, at least right now on paper, on the schedule a week from Sunday. So expect some type of an announcement as the Tigers will play. It looks like a roadie, I'm guessing Wichita State next Thursday or Friday.
Again, as he said, to control your own destiny, as far as it is completely. But if you don't play Wichita State, you can't win the conference regular season title without help.
Exactly.
I mean, if you play Wichita State, you have the path to the conference regular season title right there in front of you.
In the SEC, huge win for Arkansas. We'll talk about it when we return. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
It's February. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time to replace that old energy guzzling system. February is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during these slow winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system during the month of February and get a gas furnace for free. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat, plus 12 months interest free. See why I call it February? And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company today, and the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating and air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hey, I heard that you just got a new car.
Yes, I sure did, and I could not believe how simple it was.
Really? Tell me what happened.
I bought my car at Cars Inc. They are family owned, and the choices of cars were the best I've ever seen. They even said they could price match with anyone and help me with whatever financing I needed.
Wow, it does sound like they know what they are doing.
Their family has been in the car business for over 30 years, and they're excited about being in Memphis.
Where are they?
5095 Cummington Way, and their phone number is 901-623-7180.
You've probably seen him, heard about him, passed him while he was working, but you never thought you'd need him until you do. And when you do, you really need Papa Lock of Memphis. Papa Lock of Memphis is all about locks and keys and more. Lose your car key? Papa Lock can make new ones. Moving. Don't take the key you're handed. Lots of other folks have been handed that same key. Papa Lock will rekey your home so you're safe. Need more than a new key? Papa Lock is expert at installing access control so you know who and when there is entry of your home, office, warehouse, and more. Multiple properties? Let Papa Lock of Memphis set up a master key system for you. Call 901-527-6737. That's 901-527-OPEN. Papa Lock of Memphis, your trusted locksmith.
This is a job alert. If you're looking for work, this will interest you. Whether you're looking for full-time, part-time, or even something temporary if you've been recently furloughed, text 107-JOB to 49330. That's 107-JOB to 49330. Office work available now in a clean office environment with all COVID precautions taken. Text 107-JOB to 49330 and someone will be in touch about these job opportunities available now. Text 107-JOB to 49330.
Hey friends, all aboard to A&J Catfish Station's newest location in Millington at 7838 Church Street. A&J Catfish Station has delicious light battered farm-raised catfish and mouth-watering big fried shrimp. Try the popular blackened catfish or fresh fried filet and whole channel catfish. Then there's mouth-watering mac and cheese, homemade tartar sauce, great burgers and fries, and fresh vegetables. Got a sweet tooth? Enjoy A&J's Peach Cobbler, voted #1 in Memphis. A&J Catfish Station, now the new location in Millington at 7838 Church Street.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour is brought to you by Action247.com. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
On the SEC hardwood last night, Arkansas defeats Alabama, and it wasn't close, 81-66. Huge win for Eric Musselman's team.
They're playing really well right now. I think is that 7 in a row for them, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they frustrated the heck out of Alabama. John Petty ends up getting 2 technicals, getting thrown out of the game late in that contest. But they had Alabama completely flustered. And Arkansas is rolling, and they're climbing up that seed line. And they don't have a bad loss this year. And they needed kind of a signature win. You know, they've had some decent wins, but last night gives them kind of that signature win that they've needed. And they're the hottest team in the SEC, obviously, right now. So who knows how high they might get on that seed line.
And Alabama has struggled against top 25 teams. They don't have a great record. So it's a team that's played really, really well, and they haven't had any bad losses. And I wouldn't say that's a bad loss to go to Arkansas and lose, but Arkansas beat them by 15. The SEC tournament is going to be some kind of good. Tennessee, looked more like Tennessee that we're used to seeing this season last night in beating Vanderbilt 70-58.
I'm not sure struggling against the Vanderbilt team without their two best players is looking good.
Well, they won by 12.
Yeah, they were up by 4 with like 3 minutes left in that game. And that's without Scottie Pippen Jr. and without Dylan Dessou. I mean, that's that Vanderbilt team that they played last night, you should beat by 30 if you're any good.
It was in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's playing at Memorial Gym is a weird configuration. I don't care. It's not that easy year in and year out to go in there and beat Vanderbilt at their place. So you're right. Absolutely. It's not Vanderbilt at full strength. But the way Tennessee has played lately, to still walk away and end up, even though it was close, to pull away and win by 12, that's what they needed. It was a shot in the arm for Tennessee. Vanderbilt had been playing well. Remember, they had lost to Alabama by just 4 points. Also last night, Mississippi State beat South Carolina 69-48. All of a sudden, the Bulldogs have a pulse after beating Ole Miss by 10 at the Pavilion. And now they beat up on an overmatched South Carolina team. I had put Mississippi State to bed, and now, who knows if they could pull off an upset or two in the SEC tournament. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, the SEC tournament. It usually is, but I think even this year, because it's up in the air. It's up in the air. How good is Florida? Who can make that run in the tournament and get the AQ? Nationally last night, just when you thought North Carolina was safe, Marquette beat them by 13. 83-70.
Yeah, it's they're one of those teams that, like, when they need a win and they kind of get back on the good side of the bubble, they seem to get it, and then when they get on that good side of the bubble, they take a loss to fall back out of it. It's they've had a weird stretch here. That game, the final game of the regular season, like it always is, against Duke, could end up being very important for both of those teams, where one of them is getting in and the other one's not. But North Carolina's got Florida State Saturday, so that's they've got that's going to be a very tough one before they get to Syracuse and Duke to end the regular season.
Coming up in hour number 2 of the program, we'll kick things off with Mike Bianco, the Ole Miss baseball coach, the #1 team in the nation. He'll be joining us on the other side, and then we'll talk about the Tiger Woods accidents and where things stand as far as the investigation is concerned, an update on Tiger Woods. We got 2.5 questions to get to a little later on the show, and then the NBA conversation will resume. 12:25, Colin Ward Henninger will get his thoughts on what we've seen so far in the first half of the NBA season. Maybe also talk to him about the All-Star picks and the snubs and things of that nature. That'll be coming up again at 12:25. You're listening to Sports 56 Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
Hey everybody, new Silverados are here. I'm looking at all these hot new Chevy trucks out here at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. And All-Star has all the Silverados, new 2020s, new 2021s. You saw how all those trucks handled in the snow? And now you can be prepared for everything with your own. 0 for up to 72 months available right now. Because you gotta know, if it's a Chevy you want, Olive Branch is where you wanna be. New 2021 Equinoxes, Blazers, third row Traverse, and talk about some deals. Check out the demo sale on slightly driven loaners. And All-Star has dozens of certified pre-owned Chevys, Tahoes, Silverados, Impalas. And as always, everyone at All-Star Chevy has one job, just one, to make sure you get exactly what you want at the best deal. Have more fun and in record time. So remember, it's not Mount Moriah, not the Pike, not South Haven or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to Olive Branch, where after all the snow days last week, everyone at All-Star will stay late until 7:30 through Friday night and until the last customer leaves on Saturday. Pre-shop online at allstarautogroup.com.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do. And we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
The President's Day sales event is going strong at Gossett Kia on Covington Pike. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. That's less than $5 a day for a new ride. 2021 Kia Soul, completely redesigned exterior and interior, $149 a month lease. And 2021 Kia K5, just $182 a month lease. All 36 months with $3149 due at signing, and they all come with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter in your new Kia from Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, Soul, M7755 $638, MSRP $20,660, K5 MG 00560, MSRP $25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF $695, excludes tax title and license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 11:02 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Middays, the Thursday, February 25th, 2021 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy. Zach Boyd in for Gabe Kuhn. We'll talk to Mike Bianco in just a moment. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And the second hour of the program is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar Avenue between Mendenhall and St. Elmo. On the web at gaddisjewelers.com. They have a tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much, much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces. So many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you choose that right wedding ring and engagement ring, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis, locally owned and operated, family-owned. Whatever your dream, make it come true at James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar Avenue. Ole Miss off to a tremendous start. They are number 1 in the country in some of the publications. A tremendous trip to Texas. And after winning yesterday at home against Arkansas State, they're set for a 3-game non-conference series against UCF starting tomorrow. And it's our pleasure to be joined by Ole Miss baseball coach Mike Bianco in his 21st season at the helm. Mike, how are you? Mike? Hello, Mike.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Sorry, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So I'm looking at some of the numbers. They are just tremendous to start this season. And we had a gentleman who covers you guys on a daily basis. He was on our show earlier in the week, and he said the scary thing about Ole Miss baseball is, as well as they played, they didn't play that well. There were things that they're going to get better at. There were some players that certainly weren't on the trip because of whatever the situation may be. I think one, in fact, with COVID. That's scary, Mike, for everybody who's on your schedule. If that's just a taste of what you guys can do this year.
Well, I appreciate it, but I think it's the we're 3 games into or 4 games into now. the very beginning of a 56-game schedule. So everybody's like that. I think every coach hopes that, you're going to be better in May and June than you are in February and March. And so, at least, that's what the job is, not only for the coaches, but, the players alike. But, part of the reason that we weren't, perfect or, great was because of the competition. So some of that has to do with, who you're playing and, the margin for error, down in Texas was so thin. I'm just happy that, we played well enough to win, 3 games and won them in different, ways. And there are certainly areas that we played really well, and probably the thing that stands out to me was, the timely hits, and even though we didn't have a ton of hits, we were able to really get some big hits. Matter of fact, I think we hit 360 with runners in scoring position. So we only hit 240 over the whole weekend when you count all the at-bats. But when we had them, when we had runners on, we made them count. And then the opposite, we made some really great pitches when the other teams, had their opportunities. We were able to make some good pitches, some great plays defensively to get off the field.
Coach, for you, just how nice was it to be back out there and have the guys back out there? It's been a long time since you guys played when we were down in Monroe last March, and then you guys had the weather situation, and I guess there was some question maybe whether you guys would be able to play those games down in Texas. But what's it with what happened last year just to get this season going? How good of a feeling is that?
Oh, well, obviously a great feeling, and no different than I think anybody would expect. And Eli, you're exactly right. I mean, there was a point maybe as late as Thursday that I probably thought there was a better chance of us not going than going, just because of the weather conditions here and just safety issues. Trying to get to the kids here for COVID testing, trying to get a bus to get us to the airport. We actually had to fly out of Birmingham of all places because the temperatures and the runways, and that was the best shot to be able to get out of here. But then, one of the things that I thought was really neat, one of the takeaways that I had, as a coach, as a coach, and everybody, not just college athletes, but everybody has dealt with this pandemic for nearly a year now, and everybody will have their stories. But, now leading up to it, as Eli mentioned, it was tough to get there. So, now we're finally, game week, we're going to open up. We're playing in a dome. We're playing against Big 12 teams, and so this is really going to happen. And then the weather comes. But all the hoops and all the things that we had to go through to get there, once the game started, to the players' credit, it looked normal. I mean, it looked as normal as it could be. Maybe some gaiters around the neck and some masks on coaches, but beyond that, and so that was really nice to see. Where the players, they're so relentless. Young people, get it, and they just move on. I think sometimes, not that we shouldn't worry about this pandemic. I mean, I'm not one of those people. This is a real deal. But it was really nice, I think, and refreshing to have 3 baseball games where the guys just play baseball.
It's a great point about young people, especially young people, being relentless. But we haven't had you on, I don't believe, since everything was shut down last year. Not to dwell on what happened last year, but we've had Darren Schoenrock from Memphis, who and you guys are going to play them next Tuesday on, and he talked about being on a trip, a road trip, bus trip, not flights, and being told, I think right before they took the field of a game, that everything was shut down. What do you remember from when everything just got shut down on you last season, Mike?
Well, it'll be a moment that I'll never forget. We had just, and Eli knows, we just won our 16th in a row. We were 16-1 against Louisiana Monroe, and I was walking off the field. I was told by my director of operations, "Hey, listen, there's going to be a coaches conference call tonight on the bus on the way back." And we had heard a little bit about it prior to the game, about the Ivy League shutting down, and so. But anyway, fast forward to the next day, we find out that the SEC is pressing pause till April 1, which was about 2 weeks from that point where we were, and by that afternoon they canceled the College World Series, and so as a coach, unless you win the national championship, you usually lose your last game. And so that's kind of the deal, right? You're used to that, regardless of where you are in the season, postseason, regional, super regional, College World Series. And so you're always expecting to win that game and move on to the next game. And in the years past, that talk a few minutes after we lost, where you're looking at kids with tears in their eyes, that's always been tough because you really don't have the words because you weren't planning on losing. But you get it out, and everybody understands that's the deal. You're supposed to win. You have to have more runs than the other team to keep playing. Well, this was different. We had won 16 in a row. We hadn't lost in weeks, and we were, one of the best teams in the country. And now you have to tell these kids that, hey, you got to pack your bags and be out of the facility within the next 48 hours. That was tough, to watch these kids and to watch. I don't know if there was ever a more emotional time in my coaching career than that meeting to tell the kids that the season's over and you got to pack your bags and go home.
Wow.
Yeah, I said, if you finish your season with 16 straight wins, you're celebrating something
exactly.
big.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about that.
Party in Omaha.
So with this start, obviously a lot of returning guys that we know a lot about. One guy who kind of burst onto the scene, he's highly thought of, is Jacob Gonzalez, and he had a good series down there in Texas. You guys have had a series of shortstops that have come through there, and you've had some great ones. Tell us about Gonzalez. How good is this kid? How good can he be?
Well, he's a terrific player, as I think you already know, and he's got a high ceiling as well. He's a kid. The thing that's probably been the most impressive thing about Jacob is, as a true freshman to play, maybe the most difficult position on the field at shortstop, the most pressure. To watch him handle it, to watch him handle, defensively, to watch him handle. He's a great hitter as well. A guy that's, probably destined to hit at the top or the middle of our lineup and be a big run producer and somebody that we're going to, count on, as far as offense as well. He's this cool, calm, and collected. He reminds me a lot of Gray Kessinger. He reminds me that, not just body style, because he's that bigger shortstop, right? Like Gray was, 6'2", 195, 200 pounds, but just very, a lot of grace out there, moves really well. And then obviously a really big time offensive player. And, just from day one, since he stepped on campus, he's played really well here. There hasn't been that, hey, he's a freshman, he's a little nervous, he doesn't look like he's quite ready yet. We haven't seen any of those blips on the radar. But, it's 4 games in, but man, he looks like he's off to a great start, and that's good for us.
11 different guys already have knocked in a run or more. 4 guys have knocked in 4. And I bring up that because of 2 reasons. One, the caliber of competition you've already played, not the easiest opponents to be able to produce the way you've produced. But also my question, Mike, is how deep is this team, and how deep is it compared to other teams you've had at Ole Miss?
Well, I would think position player-wise, we're really not that deep, and that's being honest. Now, especially this past weekend with a couple guys out of the lineup, and it makes it a little tougher when you have a Cale Baker out or you have a Peyton Chatnier out. But last night with Peyton out, pulled his hamstring in Game 3. We start T.J. McCants, a true freshman, and he gets two hits. I think he ended up with 2 for 4. Last night. Turned a really nice double play at second base. And so that's nice to see and watch guys contribute. John Rice Plumlee, he had a big home run late, and Cale Baker in his first start, this is the first weekend, his first at bat, he hits a home run. And so those things are nice. But I would say depth-wise, there's been years where we've had more depth position player-wise, where the depth you really notice is on the mound. We've already pitched 15 guys in 4 games. I don't know if we've ever done that. And, they've there hasn't been a hiccup. I think we've given up 1 run out of the bullpen in almost 20 innings. And so for all the guys that have come in there, they've handled it. So from the new players and those COVID freshmen, where I think sometimes you got to give those guys a little bit of a break, because even though they're in their second year, it's really their first year. We only got to see 16 games, 17 games last year. Some of these guys like Kimbrell and McDaniel and some of those kids, even Derek Diamond, guys that were freshmen last year.
you go down to Texas. You guys go 3-0. Of course, which is great. Then you also are reminded, though, because you got Arkansas down there, you got Mississippi State down there. The SEC, the 3 SEC teams lose a total of 1 game against those great opponents. So you realize just how tough it is, especially in the SEC West. But then you guys get Florida and Vanderbilt in crossover series as well. I mean, this is a brutal schedule you guys have.
Yeah, and you said Florida and Vandy, but don't exclude Georgia and South Carolina.
Yes, exactly.
Those are 4 from the other side. So thank you. But I always, at this time, to be honest with you, and you could pick if you said, "Hey, Mike, I want you to pick the teams that you get to play in the SEC. You get to not, play 3 opponents." I mean, the truth of the matter is that's what the beauty of our league is, that anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And if you don't play well in our league, you lose. It doesn't matter if you're the number 1 team in the country. It doesn't matter if you're the first place team in the SEC. You lose in our league if you don't play well. And that's the beauty of the SEC. Now, that's also, the scary thing about the SEC is, everybody's really good. And so, you got to come show up, or regardless of what you've done, in the past, you could have a tough weekend. So, watching State and watching, Arkansas, it was no surprise. I mean, am I surprised we won 8-1? Yeah, I don't know if anybody would have forecasted that, but we all know what life in the SEC is all about.
And with that said, Mike, with the brutality, if you will, of the schedule for everybody in the SEC, with the great teams that are up and down the conference, do you want to continue? And I know you've played some big-time non-conference foes. Would you like to continue to open the season playing something sort of what you just did to have that type of competition early?
Well, we always go on the road, and Eli knows this. We always go on the road, one weekend of the 4. We have 4 non-conference weekends before we start SEC play. Mm-hmm. We always go on the road. It just happened that this tournament, the way they scheduled it, was the first weekend. I mean, by design, we'd love to be able to be home the first weekend and kind of be in your the friendly confines of your locker room and your fans, and kind of get through it a little bit. To me, that was as a coach, maybe if you will, the scariest of it is, the margin for error against those teams is so thin, mm-hmm. and we haven't played a game. We're still trying to figure out lineups. We're still trying to figure out what pieces of the bullpen come in first, who's going to be at the back end, who's the guy when you're in a critical situation, who's the guy that you go to. You'd like to have a week, at least 1 week, maybe 2 weeks under your belt to kind of figure all that out. Doing it there, you're kind of doing it on the fly, but so is everyone else. So, I mean, it's fair. It's just, I think, from a coach's standpoint, it's like a football. It's like playing Alabama football or some school like that, Notre Dame. Opening day. I don't know if you want to do that the first weekend. Maybe the second or third if you want to play non-conference opponent. But I don't know if you want to do it the first weekend. And I think baseball's no different.
By the way, Coach, after 21 years, I thought they did ask you what opponents you wanted to play in the conference. I thought you had some seniority, some little power in that conference.
No. When they all voted to redo the schedule, see, these are the same opponents, just different order than we would have played last year. And so when they said, "Hey, do we want to keep the same schedule as last year, same rotation, or do we want to push it back?" I was all right to go ahead and skip last year's schedule, try to pick in the litter again. But I was outvoted, I think, 13-1.
Let's reshuffle those cards, see if we can come up with a better hand.
Exactly.
For you guys had the home game last night. You got the home series this weekend with UCF. I believe you guys are at, what is it, 25% as far as fans are concerned? Correct. And is there a hope that, as we get closer to SEC play, that you guys will be able to have more fans?
I think there's a hope. I don't necessarily foresee it, and this is just like Bianco's personal opinion. So this isn't getting any inside information. But we're 3 weeks away from conference play, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think everybody, and not just here in Mississippi, but we had nationally with the pandemic, a really bad January and early February. But, the numbers are starting to trend down. The vaccine's starting to get distributed. And I think that there's a hope for all of us, not just baseball, but every sport, and every walk of life, from restaurants and everywhere else, that, as we get closer to, April and May and June, that, lives will change, things will change. And, maybe, later in the season, certainly maybe by postseason, it'll look a little different. We had a nice crowd last night at around 2,600. And that was pretty good for a Tuesday, but that's what it'll be on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we all know that's a lot different look at First Swayze Field.
Mike, when there's a number one next to your name, whether it's in one publication, 10 publications, whatever the case may be, is there more of a bullseye?
Probably, but that you'd have to ask the opponent that. I mean, I think so. There's more, certainly a lot more questions asked about it. I mean, I don't think I'd do an interview now without getting to the number one question.
Sure.
But I think from our standpoint, I know it sounds like coaches speak, but it's nice. It's great. It's great to be recognized. It's nice for somebody to think that you're that good, that you could be the best team in the country. But at the end of the day, I don't look at it too much different than if you're ranked 4th or 5th like we were at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. You don't get a trophy for it. It doesn't help you win any games. It's good for the fans. I think it's good for selling tickets and those types of things. But at the end of the day, that's all it's good for. It's good to be recognized and all of that. But at the end of the day, we didn't make too much of it when we were ranked 4th or 5th. I don't, for our purposes of playing the game, it's not real helpful. You just got to go play the game.
Rebels and UCF for 3 starting tomorrow. He is Mike Bianco, Ole Miss baseball coach in season number 21, and the Rebels off to a great start. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Coach Mike Bianco. Stay well, Mike. And, I hate to have to throw that in as a caveat, but in this day and age, it's not just good luck on the field. Stay well, stay healthy.
No, you're true. You're exactly right, and I appreciate it. We're trying. It's hard. And we're all trying to do our part. But, for everybody needs to stay safe and healthy, and let's navigate through this thing.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Being number one in the nation's can't be a bad thing. But the problem is when your schedule includes like numbers 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, and you've already played 3 top 10 teams to get to that point. I mean, it's insane.
And that's why, and I think they do a good job when they, you got to go out in the field and you got to prove it with the regionals and the super regionals to get to Omaha. But when they decide who's in the field, I think they do a really good job in realizing that some of these conferences, yes, they need a lot of teams, even if they have a decent amount of losses because of the schedule they play. Every single time you step on the field in one of these SEC conference games in baseball, I mean, you can easily lose 2 or 3, easily lose the series. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah, looking just at the D1 baseball where they're ranked number 1. Arkansas is 2, so they will play them. Vanderbilt's 3, they will play them. Mississippi State's 5, they will play them. Florida's 7, they will play them. Texas Tech is 10, already played them. LSU's 11, will play them. TCU 14, already played them. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, just think, you got in the SEC West alone, 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation. And in the SEC overall, 4 of the top 5 teams.
And normally UCF, and I'm not sure the preseason projections for the American, but UCF is normally one of the better programs in the American. And they're coming to Ole Miss for 3, as I mentioned. And then Tuesday, the Tigers will venture down to Oxford for a single game against the Rebels. Folks, there's a lot of excitement in the sports world, and watching and betting on all the action is certainly exciting. You can do that with FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's number 1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. It's really simple to download. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, which I am addicted to, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every single game. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. So you think about all the things they offer. It's easy to use, fast withdrawals, odds boosts and specials, the range of betting options, just so many good things. That's why they're number one in the world, FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. Seriously, no strings attached. Just place any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. And if you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. And don't delay. The NCAA tournament is right around the corner, as is the Masters. Must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
Got some more information on the schedule situation for the Tigers next week when we come back.
And also an update on what's the investigation is showing with Tiger Woods. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
The voice of your Memphis Tigers, Dave Woloshin. The man with all the stats, Brett Norsworthy. Together, an unbeatable combo of entertaining and insightful sports talk. Wolo and Stats, 3 hours a day, every weekday from 3 to 6 on Sports 56.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
The President's Day event is in full swing at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. And we're celebrating with 2020 Dodge Journey SE $19,990 or $249 a month. Or pump up your attitude with the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude $21,740 or $277 a month. Or take your pick 2020 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tradesman or 2021 Dodge Challenger XST $339 a month. It's your choice, Ram 1500 or Challenger. We Gossett at $339 a month. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat 1901 Covington Pike or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Almost finance through Chrysler, all 3,500 cash down, 75 months at 4.19 APR. Journey LT 296,053, MSRP 26,860. Latitude MD 168,760, MSRP 27,805. 1500 LS 156,730, MSRP 35,185. Challenger MH 581,58, MSRP 31,160. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/1/21. Dealer stock only.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, I started the first micro distillery in the state of Texas with my dog, Dog Joe, at my side. We're still working with dogs out at the distillery after all all these years. Learn more about how dogs are a part of life here at Tito's Handmade Vodka at vodkafordogpeople.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
So, the Wichita Eagle has a story talking about Wichita State from the Wichita State side of things as far as scheduling goes. Because obviously they lost their 2 games against SMU, which were important games. They did talk to Mike Oresco for this story. One of the quotes in here says, "I can't give you the full details, but we're trying to arrange some other games so that Wichita will have a game to replace the SMU games and could have some meaning for them for NCAA tournament qualification. We want to get certain key games in and try to give our teams the best chance to qualify for the NCAA tournament." The writer here, Taylor Eldridge, goes on to say, according to a source with knowledge of the situation, the conference is trying to make room to reschedule the Memphis-Wichita State game next Thursday, March the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like that it probably will be the Wichita State game rather than the Houston game that gets rescheduled if they could do this. They haven't moved the Wichita State game. They've got a game next Wednesday, but it looks like they'll move that up to Tuesday as well. And try and create that spot there. The one that's interesting, though, because he says he wants to prioritize all the bubble teams, which includes SMU, but I don't know what you can do with SMU because you don't even know when they're going to be able to play again.
No, it's almost impossible right now until you realize, or until you know, rather, when they're going to be able to come back. You can't. You almost have to leave them at the doorstep. But just from our interview with Cody Toppert and doing my best Columbo, I came to the conclusion that it would be Wichita State and would be Thursday or Friday. He talked about packing his bags for 3 road games, Cincinnati Sunday. South Florida was already moved up to Tuesday, so they can get that game in on Thursday or Friday, but it looks like Thursday. And he had said Wichita State. So, yeah, just putting 2 and 2 together, that's the one they're trying to make up. It makes an awful lot of sense. You talked about it earlier, how important it is to play Wichita State. You would love to have 2 shots at Houston, but you're still going to get a shot at Houston. So, it's pretty simple. Memphis has Cincinnati, who's playing much better. They beat Tulsa last night 70-69. It is not a gimme, although Cincinnati is not, your father's Cincinnati Bearcats. This isn't Bob Huggins or Mick Cronin coaching. But John Brannon is capable, and even though they've struggled, they've played better lately. So you got Cincinnati on the road, USF on the road, and they just got beat up by Temple yesterday, I believe. They had beaten Temple before. They played 2 games in 3 or 4 days, whatever it was, and they split. And then, more than likely, Thursday, Wichita State, Sunday, Houston at home. You win those 4 games, and you're right there in that conversation for an at-large. Now, you lay an egg in the conference tournament and lose in your first-round game, which would be a quarterfinal round match. You wouldn't have to go 4 games in 4 days. But then all bets are off. I don't think it secures anything, but I believe if you run this table here, that would mean you would be 17-6, 13-3 in the conference. It's hard to keep Memphis out if they pick up what would be a quadrant 1 win over Houston, and maybe another quadrant 1 win over Wichita State.
And you'd be the regular season champs.
Yes.
I think you'd be in. I think that's right. That would put you, barring a bad loss in the conference tournament, I think you would be in the NCAA tournament as the because I think there's a good chance 2 American teams are getting in, and I think at that point you put yourself clearly as the second team behind Houston because you'll have beaten Wichita State twice. You'll have won the regular season title. I think you would clearly be the number 2 team, and the fact that SMU may not play any, who knows what they're going to be able to play, if anything more. So they're not going to really have any chance to be able to try and improve their resume to get ahead of you either.
And 3 weeks ago, a second team from the American was not even in the equation. just 3 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden we're talking about having a second team. That's barring a wacky conference tournament champion that would get in as the AQ. And the other thing about the report that you just talked about, and I know that Mike Oresco was on recently with Wolo and Stats, is now the conference, which we've talked about for weeks now, and Mike has always said, we'll let the schools figure things out with the schedule and all that. Well, they have now taken the bull by the horns because they realize something that we've always realized, that you got to do everything you can to try to get a second team in, even a third, but I don't think that's possible. But you're trying to get multiple teams in. Normally, in a regular year, the American Conference is getting multiple teams in, but nothing's regular about this year. So he's doing now, Mike Oresco is, what he needs to do, and making sure they're scheduling to give Wichita State and Memphis a good shot, a good chance.
We got a text on the First Bank text line from Raider Corey talking about the Tigers. Says they'll be in every game because of their suffocating defense, but if they want to take the next step, free throw shooting, three-point shooting, and turnovers must improve, which hasn't in the Penny era. I think they are slowly adopting the Virginia Tony Bennett identity of defense first, which is an ugly brand of basketball at times, but a win is a win, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. Go Tigers.
Well, a couple of things. Finally, Virginia, maybe not so much this year, but the last few years, they found their offense. Virginia's offense was really good, but he hung his hat on his defense. I don't know if you can change your stripes. You certainly – I saw – the improvement before the shutdown in the three-point shooting. They got better. They were knocking down 10 threes in a game, 9 threes in a game, 11 threes in a game. So they were doing a lot better there. That's something that's going to be inconsistent because they're not great three-point shooters, but I can see improvement there. As far as the free throw shooting, I don't know how much better you're going to get. You are who you are. And turnovers, they continue to make self-inflicted wounds. Things like pick up your pivot foot or trying to lob one down the court, three-quarters court, because the guy has maybe a foot, he's a foot ahead of the defender, and then it gets deflected or stolen. Or throw a pass, as Cody Toppert said, to a moving Malcolm Dandridge or a moving Moussa Cisse. I mean, just not real intelligent decisions. And that's how those turnovers add up. It's not because teams are pressing. So we've laid down kind of the framework for the Tigers to get in the tournament. Now, do I feel that they will accomplish that? No, I don't. I'm not confident enough to feel that they're going to sweep these final 4 games. And I don't feel confident that they're going to win the conference tournament and get the AQ. Do I think it's possible? Yes. I don't think it's out of the question, but is it probable? No, it's not probable. How can you think it's probable?
Well, no, it's not. They will be an underdog. I would probably at Wichita and against Houston.
Exactly. Hey, I'm not putting the W in the column yet for Sunday against Cincinnati. You go up there and throw the ball around and do the things that they have done and things that Corey had just mentioned with his text, you'll lose to Cincinnati.
I mean, it's again, when you turn it over, basically just on your own, as much as they do, and they're last in the country. 14.2% of possessions is a turnover that is not a steal by the other team. So you're talking about one every, six and a half possessions, 6 possessions. You are turning the ball over, and it's not the other team stealing it. It's just you turning it over.
And think about this. By turning the ball over, you're obviously giving your opponent extra possessions. And that defense, now cumulative second in the nation, right? In net defense, is that what you said?
Yes.
You're going up against teams, you're giving them more possessions, more chances to score, yet you're not allowing them to score. But you have to play harder and you have to play more on the defensive end because of what your offense is doing and the ineptness of turning the ball over. That just says an awful lot about how great, not good, how great this Tigers defense is. And normally you would think young, impressionable athletes that play basketball are more bought into the offensive side of things. But these guys are bought into the defense.
The free throw shooting, by the way, is now down to 340th in the country.
That good?
And that's out of they're only 347 teams playing this season. So there are only 7 teams who shoot free throws worse than Memphis.
Do tell us who those 7 teams are.
Oh, I can tell you who those are. Let me pull. Let's see. Where was I? UNC Asheville, Utah Valley,
okay,
Northern Illinois, New Mexico, Mississippi Valley State, Loyola of Maryland, and Maine. And actually, Maine's done playing.
Yeah, they stopped playing.
But Maine shot a robust 56.9% from the free throw line in their time they were playing. So when you're last in the country in turnovers, you're only better than 7 teams shooting free throws. That's not a recipe to win close games. That's you get into close games and you can't make free throws and you turn the ball over down the stretch. You're going to have to be unbelievable defensively. Again, they have been, but man, that is putting a lot of pressure on what you have to do defensively when you are just wasting possessions. And basically with missed free throws and with turnovers, that's what they're doing is wasting possessions at time. They're also now 210th in the nation in 2-point percentage, which is with the athletes they have on this team. To be 200, to be able to be 210th in the nation in 2-point percentage is ridiculous.
There were a couple of plays last night where Dandridge got the ball inside, and he looked really good. I mean, he looked really good. He has really good post moves. And then the guy who's expected to be in the NBA because of his prowess on defense, Moussa Cisse, he got a ball, made a move, and overshot it by a couple of feet. He made the move, which looked a lot better than what he was doing earlier in the year, but he threw up a brick. And I still look at Dandridge and I think, man, he has the ability, not to play in the NBA, I don't believe, but to get much better over the course of the next few years in his development with the University of Memphis. Now, Moussa really needs to stay another year. I don't know if that'll be the case, but I think Dandridge has some great post moves.
Well, the thing, too, is with Moussa, as you get into postseason play, and again, especially if you're in close games, Moussa late in games, because of his free throw shooting, you can't have him on the floor because teams will just start hacking him and setting him to the line.
What's he shooting? Do you
Moussa?
know?
Oh God, what is?
It's like below 30%.
It's like it's right around 30%, I believe, at the free throw line.
Yikes!
And he's all, you can't have him in the game because teams will they'll go to the Hackamoussa.
Right.
He is 30. Yeah, he's 15 out of 49.
By the way, the Hackamoussa, great dish in Tibet. Delicious.
30.6%. 15 out of 49 there. So Dandridge will be on the court more probably at the end of games because you just can't have Moussa out there.
Unless they go small.
Yeah.
Unless they go really small with DeAndre Williams being your big out there.
So it's, Dandridge could end up being a important, very important player down the stretch.
I was watching the game last night. I'm looking at Tulane going, are they miniature? I mean, DeAndre Williams was on the floor, and there was nobody even close to being as tall as he was. I thought, man, Ron Hunter's either going really, really, really small, or he has no bigs at all. That was not a good team. I'll give a lot of credit to the Tigers' defense, but that was not a good team. When we come back, we'll update you on Tiger Woods and also another ugly story involving U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics. My gosh, this is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
One of the things I love about betting on basketball is I'm always finding new player props or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called a same-game parlay bet, and you can only find them on FanDuel. I'm in love with this type of bet. What I like to do is take players' points, rebounds, assists, mix it up, and then make my bet. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same-game parlay insurance every single day. That's why I bet on FanDuel. Plus, it's easy to use, fast withdrawals. They have great odds boosts and specials. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to try a same-game parlay and use promo code GASMAN at sign-up. That's promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
The President's Day event is in full swing at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. And we're celebrating with 2020 Dodge Journey SE $19,990 or $249 a month. Or pump up your attitude with the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude $21,740 or $277 a month. Or take your pick 2020 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tradesman or 2021 Dodge Challenger XST $339 a month. It's your choice, Ram 1500 or Challenger. We Gossett at $339 a month. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat 1901 Covington Pike or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Almost financed through Chrysler, all 3,500 cash down, 75 months at 4.19 APR. Journey LT 296,053, MSRP 26,860. Latitude MD 168,760, MSRP 27,805. 1500 LS 156,730, MSRP 35,185. Challenger MH 581,58, MSRP 31,160. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/1/21. Dealer stock only.
I'm a big fan of Town Village, and there is always something to do year-round. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
So the investigation into the Tiger Woods single vehicle accident came to the conclusion that he was not drunk, he was not on drugs, he was not impaired by any stretch of the imagination when it came to that. He also had left no brake marks or skid marks before the crash happened, which is interesting. And they're rolling it simply an accident as Tiger Woods continues on his long road to recovery.
Yeah, we got a text from somebody on the First Bank text line says, you don't smell alcohol, so you don't do a drug test on Tiger, see if he's impaired. Pays to be famous. Well, they don't, just because you get in an accident, they don't, it's not like they test everybody that's ever been in an accident to see if they're impaired. I mean, if there's no sign of impairment, they're not going to do any testing on you, especially when it's 7 7 o'clock in the morning and you're on your way to like work, basically. If it's 2 in the morning, then there might be a little more reason to believe that, wait, where's this guy coming from? What's he been doing all night? But when it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you're basically on your way to work, you get in an accident, they're not just going to order tests on you, whether you're famous or not famous. I mean, if there's no sign that you're impaired, they're not going to take the time to do that stuff.
Exactly. I've been involved in several accidents. Never my fault, by the way. I'm being honest here, but they never did that. I mean, you pretty much know right away. I'm not saying technically if you would be of the legal limit or not, but you know if somebody's impaired and you're looking in their eyes, and he was coherent and he was talking, and they made that judgment. So no, I don't think there's some kind of conspiracy theory that the guy was drunk or on drugs or anything like that. Now, what's interesting is I saw the report yesterday that the GV80, the vehicle, actually has a black box, like the planes have the black box, so you can tell, I guess, in the investigation whether or not he was speeding. Yet they said there's going to be no charges against him. So I don't even think if he was speeding, there's a ticket coming. But I don't know if he was. Again, there were no skid marks. There were no brake marks. So when I said that to my wife last night, she goes, was he trying to commit suicide? I said, no, I don't think so. I mean, he was running late. It was early in the morning. You're probably tired, and you're trying to get to this golf shoot with Drew Brees. He had just done one with Dwayne Wade and David Spade. He looked like he was in good spirits on Sunday for a guy who was trying to come back from another back surgery when he was on CBS. I don't know, but I don't think so. But it is kind of strange that there were so maybe he wasn't speeding. Maybe he was going over the limit, but not speeding. And then when you're going through the valleys and the canyons in California with the mountains and things like that, and you're not used to that road, things can happen. The other thing, and I said this yesterday, but I think Tiger would have said if an animal had jumped in front of the vehicle and he swerved. So that hasn't come out. I don't believe that's the case. The only other thing could be, was he texting? Now, I don't know if you readily admit to that, and I'm not sure if in the investigation they look at his phone and try to put the timing together on whether or not he could have been looking down at his phone and texting or checking a message and then veered off the road. Because in that case, maybe you don't hit the brakes. You're already going down the canyon and going into your rollover.
On a road like that, if you're going too fast, like you'll be off the road before you got a chance to hit, whether you're texting or not. Like if you think you're going to make a turn or whatever, and you don't make it, that doesn't mean you're going to slam on the brakes while you're still on the road.
No, but
you're
usually
off the road before you have a chance.
Yeah, but usually when you're going down a hill or going down, especially a curvy road, you're on your brake. You're not on your gas. You're just moving around your brake a little bit as you're going down because the momentum is bringing you down anyway. You don't need the gas.
I think part of the problem probably was he wasn't familiar with where he was, and he was probably going too fast for that road. But he didn't know all the turns and everything of that road, and probably got on one or something, and then probably overcorrected. Probably was losing one way, overcorrected. That's why he went all the way across to the other side of the road. Mm-hmm.
That's my guess too. That's my guess that what they've come up with is probably exactly what happened. But it is interesting that vehicle has a black box. I've never heard of that.
I also saw yesterday that the GV80 has not been, because it's a brand new thing. It has not been safety tested. Like they don't have official safety testing reports on it. It was being tested yesterday.
Are you serious?
I saw somebody tweet that yesterday, that it was actually there aren't official safety testing standards on that vehicle yet because it's so new, but that yesterday it was going through all of the stuff by whoever does all that stuff for the official safety testing reports on it and all that stuff.
Well, I had made the statement, and I've seen things to the contrary, but I had made the statement that when I saw that car, it was smashed in the front, it was smashed in the back, and the cab area looked to be intact. So I thought it would be a bonus for people looking at the possibility of purchasing a new vehicle and looking at the GV80 because, yes, while his leg and his ankle and all that was mangled, it was still intact, the whole cab part where you are, where you sit, where you drive from. But people were saying, well, it was because of the seatbelt. Yeah, of course. If he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, the guy would be dead.
But yeah, the idea that the reason they're not doing any testing on him is because he's famous. That's incorrect. I mean, if there are no signs of impairment, they're not just going to test you because they feel like it, like because you were in an accident. Like people get in accidents all the time, and they don't get any sort of test for alcohol or anything else. So
and in Florida,
whether they're famous or not.
Yeah, and his accident in Florida, when he crashed, it was pretty simple. When they went to talk to Tiger Woods, they knew. Look, cops deal with this stuff every single day. They know, and they knew right away, and they didn't give him a break in Florida. I mean, Tiger Woods, I know it's different cops, it's different states and all that stuff, but you knew right.
Florida, he didn't know where he was, and he was asleep on the side of the road. It was pretty easy to find out.
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty easy.
When you ask him where he is and he gives you the wrong state,
yes,
that's pretty easy to figure out there's impairment.
Now, do some people get breaks because they're famous? Yes.
They do.
Do some people get breaks because they're good looking, like me? Yes. This is just another, it drives me crazy. Former U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics coach John Geddert has been charged with human trafficking, sexual assault, racketeering, and lying to a police officer. Geddert formerly owned and coached at Twister's Gymnastics Club in Diamondale, Michigan, where hundreds of women say convicted sex offender Larry Nassar sexually abused them. Many said Geddert knew of this abuse, as Nassar had regularly treated young athletes in a back room at Twister's. It never ends with anybody connected to the old regime of the U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. Just sad to hear these stories one after another over all these years about these women that have been abused. My gosh, just another ugly story. When we come back, final hour of the program, we'll start things with 2.5 questions. Colin Ward Henninger is going to join us from CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ as we talk NBA. Grizzlies returning to action tonight. They got the Clippers tonight and the Clippers tomorrow night. Last 2 games for the Grizzlies have been ugly. Blowout loss at home to Phoenix. Blowout loss at Dallas. What chances do they have against the Clips? We will discuss. Hour 3 on the way. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, 98.5.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Ruddock Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
There's now a faster and easier way to pick up your Corky's Barbecue. Order and pay online, pull into the designated spot, text Corky's to 474747, and we'll bring your order right to your car. No waiting.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Head on over to Frontier Western Store for their famous February sale. This is Frontier's biggest sale of the year, and it's time to save big on boots and apparel. All men's jeans are now on sale. Wrangler Carhartt pants, $5 off. Area denim is also $5 off. There are huge savings on Carhartt shirts as well. Select clearance shirts and outerwear up to 50% off. Area shirts and jackets discounted as well. Hurry in for the best selection. All novelty shirts, including Simply Southern, Girly Girl, and Puppy Love, are buy one, get one half price. Men's t-shirts by Live Oak and A-Boat, also included in this sale. Frontier has markdowns in the boot room as well. Hundreds of boots by Double H, Rocky, Durango, and Ariat, now priced to move to make room for new spring arrivals. Stop by Frontier today and grab your next pair of dress or work boots. It's the famous February sale at Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 1 minute past noon on this Thursday, February 25th, 2021. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd, and once again for Gabe Kuhn. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, which is just north of I-40. Third hour of the program is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware, locally owned and operated. Ace is all about convenience and service. About that personal human touch. You don't always get that at the big box stores. They got fast service, competitive prices. They carry local products, full-time locksmith on duty. If it's paint you're looking for, they have a wide variety of Benjamin Moore paints and the experts to help you choose the right colors. Online at acehardware.com for convenience, service, knowledge, and price. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware at 5143 Quince Road in East Memphis. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 7, Sunday, 10 to 4.
By the way, today... just to let you know, National Chocolate-Covered Nut Day.
Oh, that's a good day.
And also National Chili Day.
That's a good day as well. Love chili. Who has great chili?
So you could throw yourself some chocolate-covered nuts in your chili and have a hell of a celebration.
I wouldn't put them together, but I'd have the chili, and then I'd have the chocolate-covered nuts for dessert. Now, the question I'm going to ask our fine listeners out there, text in 67129, where are the best places in Memphis to get chili? I love myself a big bowl of chili with that cheddar, shredded cheese on the top, maybe a little dab of sour cream.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love chili.
Wait, sour cream?
Yeah, a little dab on the top of sour cream.
Sour cream, the worst thing in the world.
Oh God, it's delicious. But
not the worst thing in the world. Raisins and coconut are worse, but it's one of the great ruining things that ruins food.
It was funny. I was watching, but anyway, text in 67129 because I've been
Jason's
searching.
Deli is where I always eat chili.
Yeah,
I don't get chili very many places. That's one place I do get it.
No, Jason's Deli is good, but I'm looking for some other places and texting it on the First Bank text line 67129. I was thinking of you last night. I was watching a special on Netflix with my favorite comedian, Brian Regan. Brian Regan from Red Rocks in Colorado. John Harden often talks about Red Rocks. I've never been there, but it's a beautiful, beautiful site. Anyway, he did the concert, and I noticed they had the shots of the people in the arena there, or it's outdoors and all that, but they all had masks, and there was a lot of people, and they're all next to each other. So he is scheduled to be here in April at the Orpheum. I got my fingers crossed because I've seen him probably 3 or 4 times. I love him. Anyway, he started to talk about a couple things he didn't like, one was raisins. And the first thing I thought of was, man, Eli hates raisins too. It's a funny skit. You would really laugh at how
was Brian Regan number 1 on your
number one. Number 1, Brian Regan. He's fantastic. The NBA has announced that the NBA Rising Stars game will not be played this year due to the limitation of having all-star events all in one night. But the league says it will still recognize deserving players by releasing its Rising Stars rosters on March 3rd. I'm going to guess John Morant will be on that. It's just a guess. I'm throwing it out there.
I don't understand why you announce rosters for that game if it's not being played.
It's just for the recognition. Just it's a feather in the cap for those particular players. It's an honor.
Not like anybody, like when your career's over, played in 2 Rising Stars Challenge games.
Right, and I can't imagine in your contract there's a clause that says you get a bonus $50,000 for playing the Rising Stars game.
I don't really understand why you're announcing rosters for that game. I get All Stars, like even if you aren't like the Pro Bowl this year when you didn't play the game, but you announce that because Pro Bowls matter. Nobody cares who's on a Rising Stars Challenge roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just announced that Memphis will be one of 4 hosts for the WNIT Regional, March 19th through the 22nd. It will be played at Collierville High School. Collierville High School will host, and Eli and I will both be broadcasters for the WNIT. So we're looking forward to that coming up in March.
That's the NCAA, right?
That's the women's NIT.
Right, for the NCAA.
Yeah, but you have the NCAA tournament,
right,
and then you have the NIT. Yeah, this is women's college basketball.
Why not have it at the Forum?
I don't know. I don't know if there were restrictions on how many people could be there, the teams. I have no idea. All I know is they asked me about this a while ago, and Eli and I are going to both split up some games, and looking forward to it.
One, I mean, I doubt they want to pay the money to use the FedEx Forum when they're not. It's not like they're going to have 18,000 fans coming to watch a women's NIT game.
That's a great point.
They would never pay for the Forum for a women's NIT game.
And what do we talk about as far as we were talking about this maybe earlier in the week about rescheduling games, and if there was a conflict with the Memphis men and FedEx Forum because of the Grizzlies. Well, somebody brought up El Marone Fieldhouse, and here's the thing. When you only have a limited amount of fans, it really doesn't matter. The court's the same length, the same height on the baskets. It's a basketball court, for goodness sake. So it's a basketball court. It's a nice facility. It's a high school facility, but it's a nice facility at Collierville. And you're absolutely right. You're not going to pay top dollar. Plus, there may be conflicts with the schedule, with the Grizzlies schedule. And this, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen in Memphis. Memphis will be a host site for the WNIT. Time now for 2.5 questions.
Who, what, where, when, how, and why? Questions start with these. Step right up and answer all my questions, if you please.
I'm just a normal kid, like you, except that I ask questions. And because I'm brave enough to ask questions, I come under scrutiny.
Asking all them questions. Why you asking all them questions?
Now here is a question for you.
What does the fuck say?
All right, before I hit you with the first question, this is pretty interesting. John Varlas just tweeting out, friend of the show from the Daily Memphian, that Tim Mulqueen, the former 901 FC coach, is joining the staff at Lausanne. So he will be serving as an assistant coach and the goalkeepers coach with Lausanne. So good for Tim, staying around the area and continuing to coach in soccer.
Somebody texts in, by the way, says for that women's NIT thing, there will be no fans. Says they say they are responsible for security. So I guess they would know.
Yeah, but again, it's probably a financial thing. You're not going to pay to go to FedEx Forum, and I'm sure it's a conflict in schedule as well with the Grizzlies. But I think it's more of a financial thing.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic or no pandemic, there's going to be very few fans for a women's NIT game.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be honest here.
Yes.
I mean, we're not. They're going to be. We need more room to pack all these fans in.
Exactly.
And during. I mean, I assume they'll still maybe let family in or whatever, friends and family. But yeah, you're not going to have anybody. the FedEx Forum would be just a big empty building. Like it would be terrible.
Which it is right now for even Grizzlies games. Question number 1. Kyrie Irving wants a new NBA logo with the silhouette of the late, great Kobe Bryant. Jerry West has been asked about things in the past about changing the logo, and he said he's not against it. Would you be okay changing the West logo to the Kobe logo, or should it be something else, like an MJ logo or a LeBron logo?
I have no problem with changing the logo. I've thought, everybody knows the Jordan logo. Now, obviously, there's a whole brand and everything else, so they're not going to do that for Nike advertising, I don't think. But I think Kobe would be. I would be absolutely fine with that if they went with something for Kobe and changed that logo. Jerry's had it long enough. I don't have a problem with them making a move on that, and I think Kobe, that'd be a great way to honor Kobe.
Zach, doesn't do anything for you?
No, not really. I mean, like I understand the notion of honoring Kobe and putting his face and doing different things with the number 24 and everything. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I don't think this is a diss on Jerry West, and I think Jerry West is fine with it. It's just kind of passing the silhouette torch to honor the great Kobe Bryant. All right, question 2. I'm going to give you a player that's currently playing in Major League Baseball, and I'm avoiding, for the most part, the young guys because they're still not – the books aren't out on those guys completely. But I'm going to ask you whether they're Hall of Famers or not, okay? And I'm going to leave off the obvious, Albert Pujols and Mike Trout. And a couple of these guys may be obvious as well. Miguel Cabrera.
Yes.
Clayton Kershaw.
Yes.
Mookie Betts.
I mean, like if his career ended now, no, but I think he will be.
So he's got a ways to go.
I mean, he's got it. Yeah, I mean, his numbers aren't that Hall of Fame level yet.
Justin Verlander.
Yes.
Joey Votto.
Probably. Not knowing his numbers off the top of my head, I would say probably, but I'm not sure on that one. I'd probably have to look at his numbers a little closer.
Buster Posey.
I say yes.
How many World Series titles? 3 for Posey?
Yeah, I mean, I think the
San
World
Francisco?
Series titles. I think he's probably. I think he probably is. Yes.
Yadier Molina.
Yes.
Jose Altuve.
Not yet, but probably will be.
Madison Bumgarner.
He's another one because of the World Series things that are going to help him a lot.
And he went on a stretch where
he was the best pitcher,
like one of the best pitchers.
Yeah, it was Bumgarner and Kershaw.
His
basically.
postseason numbers are really good, but he's only got 120 wins.
That's all he has? I know he's been hurt a little bit. And
I would say no.
No to Bumgarner?
I mean, his postseason are great, but I mean, 120 wins right now, and he's not. I don't know how many more he'll get, but
that shocks me. He's only 120.
I would say no.
Robinson Cano.
No.
Bryce Harper.
Not yet. No.
Nolan Arenado.
I say not yet.
Not yet. In all likelihood, will be, but not yet.
Okay. I'm leaving off of guys, again, they're just getting started, like Fernando Tatis and Ronald Acuna and guys Soto, guys like that. And then guys that are just, they've produced, but how long have they produced for? Guys like Freddie Freeman or Rizzo or Bryant, the Cubs guys, or guys like that of that ilk. They just haven't put together enough years.
Well, that's what Nolan Arenado is. I mean, he doesn't have enough years to have done it yet.
Yeah, Goldschmidt, another one.
I mean, Nolan Arenado has 235 home runs in his career.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go.
1,200 hits. I mean, like those are. But will he get there? Yeah, I think there's a good chance because he's going to have probably another 6, 7, 8 years of productivity.
All right, final question. This is kind of a three-parter here. Not kind of, it is a three-parter. Who is the SEC Player of the Year in basketball?
I think. I mean, I would assume that they're going to go with somebody from the team who wins it. Although it's weird because Alabama doesn't necessarily have the real obvious guy.
Yeah, who's the best player on Alabama?
Their leading scorer. Let me see.
I'd have to look it up. I seriously would have to look it up.
Is it John Petty?
It might be.
Petty's really good, but I don't know if
Petty's the one familiar name to me.
I don't know if he's their leading scorer. No, Shackelford is the leading scorer. But then a lot of people believe Herb Jones is the best player.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. They got a lot of different guys who you could.
What's Herb Jones' numbers? He's not going to be the MVP or the Player of the Year, rather.
Jones is averaging 11. They got Shackelford averages 14, Petty averages 13, Quinterly averages 11.8, Jones averages 11.4.
Yeah, it's kind of equally distributed.
So that's the thing. So they don't have that obvious this guy jumps out at you. But I have to believe somebody from that team is going to win, and I don't
know about that. I really don't. I don't know about that because even if they win, they're going to win by a game or two. Who else in the league has got really, really huge numbers? I know there's a lot of good players. Who's the kid now? Is it Moody with Arkansas?
Was it Moses Moody?
Yeah, Moody's really good.
Moody's numbers probably are really good. Now, I don't think your boy with Auburn's going to win it because Auburn struggles. Sharif Cooper.
Well, no, he's out. He's going to miss the rest of the season.
Is he? Is he out? I didn't know that.
He's out again with an ankle injury now.
Nobody from Kentucky. So now you look at the Tennessee guys.
Let's see, they're out. If they're not going to go with the guy from Alabama, Cam Thomas is averaging 22 points a game.
Whew.
I mean, he's unbelievable. He'll certainly be freshman of the year in the conference. I know that.
Right.
I'm confident of saying that.
Is there anybody on Florida?
I mean, other than
Castleton's kind of their best player.
Yeah.
Trey Mann's been good, but he hasn't been player of the year good.
And Keontae, it was their best player before.
Yeah, and he
that was.
I mean, he was the preseason player of the year.
That was scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's not obvious candidates at all. I mean,
there isn't, right? That makes it's a tough question.
Because I don't think they'll give it to Cam Thomas because they'll just give him as freshman of the year. Scottie Pippen Jr. has been great, but now he's out with an injury, and Vanderbilt's terrible. So you're not going to give it to somebody off the terrible team in the conference.
Who's the other guy from LSU? The name I always say, man, it feels like he's been there 20 years, but he's only a.
They got Javonte Smart and Trendon Watford.
Smart. No, Watford. What kind of years Watford having?
Watford's having a great year, but again, I don't.
But if you're not going to give it over Thomas, right? Yeah. You wouldn't pick a guy from LSU.
I mean, they have three of the top 8 scorers in the league in those 3 guys.
22 points a game is pretty special. That's a tough one. There's no you think Mississippi State, no. Ole Miss, no.
I think one of the Alabama guys gets it.
Really?
I think they will give it to one because there's not an obvious candidate elsewhere.
Not Moody?
I don't think Cam Thomas is that obvious.
Zach, do you know Moody's numbers for Arkansas?
Moody averages 16 points a game.
16, okay. I don't know. Maybe they will pick one, but it just seems like you're fishing in picking one from Alabama because there's 3 or 4 guys that are all pretty equal. And how do you pick one out of those? I would look at that and go, maybe they offset each other, even if Arkansas wins the conference, and they're still in position despite the loss last night to Alabama or to Arkansas. All right, second part to the question: who is the Tigers MVP? Memphis Tigers.
I would say. I guess if you're looking all around, I would say probably Quinones.
Zach, would you agree with that?
I say Landers.
Yeah, to me, it's either Lester or Landers. I would, if you're looking a little bit kind of all around what they do, I will go Lester.
I think with Eli, Lester is pretty much. I mean, he hasn't lighted up in the points column, but he does so many other things that you need, but obviously this is a point-scoring game, and you need points on the board. So that's why Landers, to me, is the most important because he has been consistently their number one go-to scorer in and out of games.
I think you make a great argument with that. Let me throw out DeAndre Williams. They've been different since his return or since his arrival, but he's also a guy that does a little of this, a little of that. Not a lot of anything, but a little of this, little of that. He's very – I think they've gotten much better defense. They were already good defensively. I think they've gotten much better with him because he's long and lanky. Those arms deflect things. He alters shots. He finishes pretty well.
And he forced those guys to talk, and that's the biggest thing.
He's been a leader. So, I don't know. Just throw it out there. But you're sticking to your guns. Eli, you got Lester?
Yes.
And he's a leader, too. Lester's a leader, and you got Landers.
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, who is the Grizzlies' first-half most valuable player?
I mean, there's no doubt that Ja is the most important guy. But I based on because Ja missed games and everything else, to me, I think I would probably say Kyle Anderson, which I never thought I would say.
Isn't that crazy? But I think I would lean that way as well.
Yeah, Kyle's a good one.
Kyle's been consistently good. He's been dependable. I know they rested him the other night, but he doesn't miss games. He's been scoring, and he's shooting threes better than he ever has in his career. It's not even close to what he's doing from beyond the arc. Ja missed a bunch of those games. He's had some spectacular games. He's also had some really bad games. So that makes a lot of sense as well.
I was going to say Dylan.
Yeah.
Like despite the bad shooting numbers and not scoring enough points at different times, you can see the last few games they missed the edginess on the perimeter.
They miss him. He's not the MVP though. I don't think.
I think my second choice, if it's not Ja, would be Jonas.
Yeah. He's pretty consistent. Pretty consistent. All right, we will take a time out. When we come back, we're going to talk NBA with Colin Ward-Henninger from CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
The President's Day sales event is going strong at Gossett Kia on Covington Pike. 2021 Kia Forte $133 a month lease. That's less than $5 a day for a new ride. 2021 Kia Soul completely redesigned exterior and interior $149 a month lease. And 2021 Kia K5 just $182 a month lease. All 36 months with $3149 due at signing, and they all come with Kia's 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter in your new Kia from Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike, or online at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, Soul M7755,638, MSRP $20,660, K5 MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax line license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I have a very honest golf instructor. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. My instructor is Marty Fulton, a PGA Life member whom you may remember from Plantation, Whispering Woods, or Holiday Golf Club. When I asked him what I might do to improve my game, Marty, what did you tell me?
Sheldon, I told you to get your clubs together, put them in your car, then take them to the nearest lake and toss them in.
Great, Marty. You're a big help.
Sheldon, you're far better at selling homes than you'll ever be at golf. That's why people often say when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
Thanks, Marty. And if you or someone you know is thinking about selling their home, you should talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out the difference in what they do in my highly successful strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option. You or they can reach me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now.
This is a job alert. If you're looking for work, this will interest you, whether you're looking for full-time, part-time, or even something temporary if you've been recently furloughed. Text 107-JOB to 49330. That's 107-JOB to 49330. Office work available now in a clean office environment with all COVID precautions taken. Text 107-JOB to 49330 and someone will be in touch about these job opportunities available now. Text 107-JOB to 49330.
All 75 months at 3.04%. Mirage MH002682 MSRP 16865 G4 MHF 01572 MSRP 18360 Outlander Sport MU 004915 MSRP 24740 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Ready, set, start your new year with a new ride from Gossett Mitsubishi on Covington Pike. Get the hatchback hero in 2021 Mirage, $12,342 or $129 a month. 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, 41 mpg highway, $13,997 or $149 a month. And jumpstart your journey in 2021 Outlander Sport, $17,938 or $199 a month. And these are not leases. You own your new ride. Plus, you get Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
He was a hard-headed man. He was brutally handsome. She was terminally pretty.
Welcome back, everybody. 12:27 the time. As promised, let's dive into the NBA. Grizzlies in action tonight. They're hosting the Clippers tonight and tomorrow night. We're closing in on the All-Star break. Second half of the season. The schedule is out. And here to discuss all things NBA is Colin Ward-Henninger, NBA writer and reporter at CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ. You can follow him on Twitter at Colin CBS Sports. He joins us now on Sports 56 Middays. Hey, Colin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. I think the timing's perfect. We've had the All-Star teams announced. We got the second half schedule announced as well. First of all, your take on having an All-Star game when it seems like the players, most of them anyway, the big names like LeBron James and the Greek Freak, really don't want to play in the darn thing, but they're going to have it anyway. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and it's a conversation you kind of need to have as an NBA fan, right? You're like, where do you stand on all of this? And, you know, when I first heard that the All-Star game was happening, my first reaction was, you know, kind of the same as the players, like De'Aaron Fox did. That's stupid, right? It doesn't really make much sense to host an exhibition game when we're trying our best to prevent this virus from spreading throughout the league. Obviously, it comes down to money, and that's really ultimately what everything has come back down to over the past year during this pandemic is how do we salvage as much money as possible for the league. There are implications for their Turner contract. They would have to possibly renegotiate their regional broadcasting contracts if they didn't hold the All-Star game, things like that. So I think they decided that, look, we'll do it all in one night. We'll do the three-point contest and skills before the game. We'll do the dunk contest at halftime. and we'll be able to get these players in and out safely without putting people at risk. So, obviously there was that strong backlash from the players, including the big name guys, but that's not going to stop Adam Silver. I think they do have the league's best interest at heart, and unfortunately that comes down to money and not necessarily player safety. But Adam Silver said they think that this is going to be almost equivalent to the bubble in terms of the safety, with them getting there, getting tested, being essentially isolated except for going to and from the arena. So, when you look at other players possibly traveling during their break to go to other places, you say, well, maybe that's just as risky, if not more risky, than having an all-star game.
The other thing I think that everybody is talking about at this point is the kind of the belief level in the Utah Jazz. Is this a team that is truly capable of winning a title, or is this a team that's a great regular season team and we feel like once the postseason hits, they're going to struggle with the Lakers or Clippers or whoever it might be they have to get by in that Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's hard to say that it's going to be the latter. I think that's everybody's kind of default, is that teams without these bona fide super duper stars are eventually going to run into those types of players and they're going to lose. And the fear with Utah is that they're peaking too early, right? We've seen this in the past, those Milwaukee Bucks teams the last couple seasons who just look like these regular season juggernauts. Suddenly, towards the end of the regular season, they start to backslide a little bit. They go into the playoffs on kind of a down note, and then they get ousted early, and it's disappointing. The Jazz, I mean, they could do that, but if you watch the way that they play, they just have all the makings of a team that's going to be really successful in the playoffs. First of all, they play defense. The biggest thing that you notice when you watch them is how many three-pointers they make and how well they're playing offensively. But they're a top-5 defense, and they have been for not last year, but the previous years. And the big reason that they're another top-5 defense again is that they have Derek Favors back. When Rudy Gobert went to the bench last season, they were a disaster defensively, basically. Derek Favors has really solidified the way that they play. Now what they're doing on offense with Bogdan Bogdanovic and Mike Conley coming back to the form that we saw with the Memphis Grizzlies, this is just a dangerous team offensively. And then if you want to play the superstar card, Donovan Mitchell averaged 36 points a game in a 7-game series in the first round of the playoffs. They obviously lost, but they didn't have Bogdanovic and they didn't have Favors. So, I mean, I certainly believe that they can lose to the Clippers. They can lose to the Lakers, but I doubt they'll get steamrolled. I think this team is just playing with such cohesion and a sense of purpose on both sides of the ball. They're going to be incredibly dangerous for whoever they match up with.
Yeah, and you touched on this because you mentioned at the beginning there the super duper stars. What does it take for Donovan Mitchell to become in that conversation when we talk about the superstars of the league? I mean, what does this guy need to do other than, I guess, maybe be playing somewhere other than Utah?
I mean, you don't like to say that because the Utah fans are so defensive as it is. But I mean, it's true. It really is. They're not on national TV as much as a lot of these teams. They don't get the marketing. Donovan Mitchell isn't on commercials every 5 seconds when you're watching a TNT broadcast. Really, I think what it comes down to is the fact that Mitchell is a little bit less efficient, and especially in the last, 5 minutes of games, you give the ball to LeBron James, and we've just been conditioned to know that he's going to do something right. And it's as much with his scoring as it is with his playmaking and his passing ability. And I think that's really where Donovan Mitchell still has room to improve. We know the guy can score. The knock on him was that his three-point shooting was bad. He's shooting 40% this year on like 8 attempts a game. He can hit pull-up threes. He can catch and shoot threes. He plays within the offense. Really, I think the development for him from going to where he is now, which is a tremendous player, to being one of those next-level elite stars, is that playmaking where he can make those reads. And that comes with experience. He's still very young. So, I do think it's justified to say he's not on that elite level yet, but I think his trajectory certainly says he's getting there. And I think this playoff run with this Jazz team, if they can get deep and he can perform like he did last year, I think he might start to make that leap.
One of the other stories of the first half of the NBA season, and I think a pretty important story in my opinion, is what is going on in Boston. The Celtics are 15-17, which is tied with the New York Knicks, by the way. They have 2 All-Stars on this team. yet they continue to underachieve. They haven't gotten it done under Danny Ainge. And Brad Stevens, while very appreciative of his ability to coach, I just don't know what's wrong. I know they've tried to make some trades. They haven't been able to pull any trades off. Who's to blame for why Boston hasn't been able to break through and why they're struggling as much as they are this year?
Well, I mean, if you this year particularly, you look, they have some COVID situations and they've had players in and out of the lineup. I mean, this dates back to even when Gordon Hayward was there. It was so rare that they got all of their best players on the court at the same time. And I know other teams have injury problems, and that's not a valid excuse. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the way that the roster is constructed, particularly with Hayward, they had these kind of four, very, very good players who were well above the rest of their roster. And now, even without Hayward, they still are constructed in kind of a top-heavy way where you have Brown and Tatum and Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart, and then kind of a huge drop-off to the bench. And their lack of depth has really been exposed this season. And I think that's the area where, you can start to point the blame at Danny Ainge. And I think he's even said that the roster construction isn't what it needs to be at this level. So they have the trade exception from Gordon Hayward. I think it's $28 million, something like that they can still use. I expect them to use that. It seems like now is the time that they do need to make a move. But, I mean, when you're watching them against the Atlanta Hawks just getting blown out by 25 in the second quarter, and, they were kind of going through the motions defensively. And this is where, nobody ever wants to point the finger at Brad Stevens, and it's kind of weird how he gets a pass a little bit. So I think, at some point you have to say, look, if this was a different coach, would we be saying this guy's on the hot seat or this guy needs to change things up? So we'll see what he can do. You do look at that roster. You got guys like Semi Ojeleye playing big minutes. A rookie, Aaron Nesmith, is playing. Another rookie, Peyton Pritchard. Honestly, it comes down to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and if those guys are able to kind of take over, put the team on their back. And you are seeing what a big difference Marcus Smart makes on both sides of the court. I mean, we know what he does defensively, but he's become a really good offensive player and a reliable shooter for them. So if he comes back, hopefully they start rolling. But I do think they'll try to make a move. Harrison Barnes has been mentioned. It seems like a guy that could fit in there. But we'll see what they do with the trade deadline approaching.
Colin, obviously here in Memphis, we love Ja Morant. He will forever be linked together with Zion Williamson because of the 1-2 draft position. The Grizzlies have a better record than New Orleans, although they can't beat New Orleans. They've never beaten New Orleans since Zion and Ja came into the league. Of those two teams, the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, which one do you like more with what they've put together and where you think their future is headed?
That's a really, really good question. And I think, as you mentioned, Zion is just so explosive, and you look at him and you see the things he does on the court, and it's hard for you to say, like, this guy isn't going to be the best player in the league for a long time. I think just up and down that Pelicans roster, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, they have a little bit more name recognition, a little bit more flair, excitement, but you're right. You look at the Grizzlies, they're right there. And this was a team that was supposed to be rebuilding last year, and they just surprised everyone and almost made it to the playoffs. They probably would have if it weren't for the bubble. So, I mean, I right now I would say the Grizzlies are in a better position, and that simply comes from Taylor Jenkins and the coaching staff and the front office and the way that they've kind of created a culture there. And I think that's exactly what every rebuilding team is looking for, is to build that culture. And Ja Morant is just such a big part of that, just came in immediately and became a leader of this team as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, whatever he was. And it trickles down. And the guys that they drafted this year, Desmond Bane and Xavier Tillman, they just look like they fit right in. And it looks like they know exactly the way they want to play and the type of players that they want. And I think that goes really far when it comes to these rebuilding situations. So, Justice Winslow got on the court. We'll see how he fits in with that entire team. But I really like the Grizzlies' prospects, and I think that they're going to be competitive for a really, really long time.
Other than the fact that they're terrible defensively, why don't the Pelicans win more when you've got Zion and you got Brandon Ingram and now Lonzo Ball shooting the ball well? Like, why don't the Pelicans win more?
I mean, you said it. It's defense, and it's so hard to put your finger on it because, in theory, Lonzo Ball is a good defender. Brandon Ingram isn't a great defender, but he's long and rangy. Zion Williamson should be a really good defender. They're just not there yet. I'm not quite sure why. I know Stan Van Gundy was supposed to come in And that was the whole point of hiring him. He's a defensive coach. He was supposed to get them playing defense. It worked for about a week, and then they completely stopped playing defense. So, Van Gundy has called out his team's effort in the past. This season, he said, we're just not playing with the sense of purpose and urgency that we need to have if we're going to be one of these good teams. So, again, they're all very young, and I think sometimes we kind of underrate that because these young players are so talented, especially on the offensive end, that we look at them and we say, look, why aren't these guys winning? Or these guys are just bucket getters. Like Devin Booker, we went through this with him, right? Mm-hmm. Tremendous offensive player, wasn't really leading to win. So we'll see how they develop. I think we get a little impatient with these young teams sometimes, especially these young superstars. But I think they will eventually figure it out, but I doubt that roster is the roster that's going to end up doing it. They have all those first-round picks, whether they use those on future stars or whether they cash them in and trade for a superstar to go along with Zion. I do think they'll eventually make a move, and that's when things will start to kind of turn in a different direction for them.
You're out in the Bay Area, correct?
Absolutely.
James Wiseman, former Tiger, just returned to Golden State's lineup with the last couple of games. I believe he fouled out of the game last night or 2 nights ago. What do you see in Wiseman, and I know he's missed some games, of what he can be moving forward with this Warriors team?
Yeah, the people out in the Bay Area are salivating. They love James Wiseman. And, I talked to Memphis assistant Cody Toppert before the draft, and I talked to him about Wiseman. And I said, where do you think would be the best place for him to end up? And he said, Golden State, without any hesitation. He said, Wiseman's the type of kid that likes to be led, and not to take anything away from his leadership abilities, but just saying at this age, he wants people to tell him what to do, essentially. And he's very coachable. He thrives in structure, and he said that's why he thought the Warriors would be a great place for him. And I think so far, that's exactly what's happened. Now, he probably got thrown to the fire a little bit too early, starting him after playing, 3 college games since high school,
right?
Starting in the NBA. It's a little difficult to just kind of jump into that, but I mean, the raw tools and the ability is absolutely off the charts. His ability as a floor spacer where he can step out and shoot the three, but also the incredible athleticism where he can rim run. And then occasionally you see these moves where he puts the ball on the floor and does a spin move, and there's just so much there. And you think about, what's a modern big man, and you see what Joel Embiid is doing to the league as someone who can dominate both inside and pull it out and shoot threes and mid-range shots. And I think that's exactly what Wiseman can do with that same defensive impact, where he can be a shot blocker and a guy who can switch on the perimeter. So I think it's going to take a while. I think Golden State knows that, but they got a guy who's really going to solidify that center position, which is something they haven't had in a long time.
We haven't had you on since they put together the big three, I guess we could call it, in Brooklyn, although they haven't played together that often. How much of a chance do you give Brooklyn with those three guys if Durant gets healthy, everybody stays healthy? What chance you give them to win the title?
I mean, I think they have as good a chance as anyone, and I needed to see it before I believed it. I think any talk of, hey, this isn't going to work, chemistry-wise with three guys, it could still happen, but right now it doesn't seem like that's going to be a factor whatsoever. James Harden, it wasn't people's fault, right? Because we haven't seen James Harden play in a team concept in a very long time. Ever since he's been in Houston, everything has revolved around him. He dribbles the ball 20 times and shoots a step-back three, or he tries to get fouled. And it was fair of us to wonder what that would look like next to other stars, but he has put any of those questions to bed. He's playing the best basketball of his career. He clearly came in with the mentality that I am going to take a back seat scoring-wise. I'm going to be a facilitator, and he's averaging 12 assists a game. And then when they need him to score, when Durant's out or Irving's out, he led that comeback against the Suns with neither of them on the court, and he just became a scoring machine like he has been in Houston. So anytime you put those three guys on the court, I haven't talked about Kevin Durant yet, who's having a comeback season and was in the MVP race before he had to miss so many games. But, Draymond Green said it after he played them. He said, that team is the favorite in the East. He said, that's my opinion. I don't care what anyone says. And that's a guy who's been to, 5 straight finals, knows a thing or two about success in the playoffs. So I'm going to take his word for it, and I'm going to say if those three guys are healthy, they're as dangerous as anybody in the East.
Colin, final thing for you, the trade deadline, not too far away in March. Any names of consequence that you think will be changing addresses?
It's going to be difficult. I mentioned Harrison Barnes. I think that's kind of the prime candidate because one, the Kings are not doing well. They had that little run where they won like 6 out of 7 or something, but now they're back down, going downhill again. So I think Barnes might be available, and he just profiles as he checks all the boxes. He's a veteran. He's a guy that can play multiple positions. He can fit into multiple lineups. He's a guy you want on your team, and he's on an affordable contract. So I would really look for him to be on the move. The Kings also have Nemanja Bjelica, who's a power forward, a stretch four, who can hit threes, who's basically fallen out of the rotation there were it not for some injuries. So I think he'll be on the move too. And then you hear, Andre Drummond is going to he's going to go somewhere. We don't know if anybody's going to be able to trade for him because he's making so much money. So that will be the question. But, whether it's a buyout or a trade, I think he'll end up somewhere. Blake Griffin is another name. He's getting kind of, sidelined by the Pistons as they kind of push towards developing those young guys. But, again, he makes so much money. It's going to be very hard to move him in a trade. So, you always think, hey, this might be a quiet deadline, and then something happens,
right,
and suddenly there's a bunch of trades. But really what it comes down to this season is that there are so many teams jam-packed in the standings that are still technically in it. You see a lot of like 13 and 15, 14 and 17 teams, and they haven't decided one way or another yet. That's why I take the team like the Kings, which looks like it's starting to slip a little bit. And then obviously Oklahoma City has guys like George Hill and, Trevor Ariza is on that roster, even though he hasn't played for the team. So got, random veterans like that who might get moved as well.
He is Colin Ward-Henninger. You can read all his great stuff at cbssports.com. Check him out, CBS Sports HQ. You can follow him on Twitter at Colin CBS Sports. Always a pleasure to have you on, Colin. Thank you so much for the insight.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Take care. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be active. I feel like it won't be an active deadline, but he's right. You never know.
I forgot that Trevor Ariza was still in the league and on a roster right now. Did I just mention that?
Yeah, I didn't know.
If you'd asked me what roster Trevor Ariza was on, I don't know that I would have come up with Oklahoma City.
It was funny. I was watching yesterday afternoon The Jump, and it has different rotating guys, but Vince Carter's on there a lot. And Richard Jefferson is an absolute ninja. But Richard Jefferson was on there. And every time I think of Richard Jefferson, I always, for some reason, think of Caron Butler. Is Caron Butler still in the league somewhere?
No, but he's coaching.
Oh, he's coaching?
Yeah, he's with the Miami Heat.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he was playing in the Big Three there for a little bit. I think if I remember correctly, he actually put it a year or two at the Big Three.
For some stupid reason, I always put Richard Jefferson and Caron Butler together when I think of one or the other guy. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap up this Thursday edition of Middays. I have some interesting odds for the Major League Baseball season, including award winners like the MVP and the Cy Young. We'll go over that and wrap it up with one final thing. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
Start your day the right way with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane on Sports 56 mornings. Weekdays from 7 to 10 on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great Winter Collection Sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time, as simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at iBuyHouses, 901-406-1101.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey friends, all aboard to A&J Catfish Station's newest location in Millington at 7838 Church Street. A&J Catfish Station has delicious light-battered farm-raised catfish and mouth-watering big fried shrimp. Try the popular blackened catfish or fresh fried filet and whole channel catfish. Then there's mouth-watering mac and cheese, homemade tartar sauce, great burgers and fries, and fresh vegetables. Got a sweet tooth? Enjoy A&J's Peach Cobbler, voted #1 in Memphis. A&J Catfish Station, now the new location in Millington at 7838 Church Street.
It may be cold outside, but your deals keep getting hotter and hotter, Jeff. Hey, let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter with the Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah President's Day sales event.
We got you covered, Randy. Let's talk. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, redesigned inside and out, $149 a month lease. And a 2021 Kia K5, $182 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Plus, every Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, sold M77 $638, MSRP $20,660, K5 MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF $695, excludes tax filing license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Middle of the road.
Spring training going on right now, but before too long, Major League Baseball will open up its 2021 season. They're trying to play a full 162-game season. BetOnline.ag has some Major League Baseball award odds posted. The AL MVP winner, the odds-on favorite, you guessed it, Mike Trout at 9-4, Alex Bregman 10-1, Aaron Judge 12-1, Jose Ramirez 12-1, Anthony Rendon 14-1, Matt Chapman 14-1, DJ LeMahieu at 18-1. Everybody else is over 20. Anybody right there that you like, Eli?
Well, it's hard to ever go against Mike Trout because he's right there pretty much every year. With those odds, I would think I like Chapman as a little bit of a as far as the odds are concerned.
All right, NL MVP Mookie Betts 13-2, Cody Bellinger 15-2, as well as Juan Soto. Fernando Tatis Jr. in his new contract 8-1. Nolan Arenado and his new team, the Cardinals, 10-1. Ronald Acuna also 10-1. Acuna. Christian Yelich 12-1. Corey Seager 12-1. Francisco Lindor now with the Mets, correct?
Yes.
12-1. Freddie Freeman 12-1. Bryce Harper 14-1. Manny Machado 18-1. There's everybody under 20-1. How about that one?
I like Machado at 18-1, but I also like, what was Soto, 15-2?
Soto was 15-2.
Yeah, that kid's just special.
Give you a few of the Cy Young Award winner odds in the American League. Lucas Giolito 17-4, Garrett Cole 9-2, Shane Bieber is 5-1, Tyler Glasnow 10-1, and then in the National League, Jacob deGrom 9-2, Trevor Bauer 6-1, Max Scherzer 9-1. Your boy now on the Padres, Yu Darvish 9-1, Blake Snell also on the Padres, and Jack Flaherty 12-1. Luis Castillo and Walker Buehler at 12-1.
Walker Buehler, 12-1. That's the bet right there. By the way, if you're speaking of betting, if you're looking at betting some college basketball tonight, you will want to know Illinois has announced that Ayu Dosunmu is out for tonight. He's got a broken nose. They don't know when he's going to be back, but he will not play tonight for sure against Nebraska. So if you're looking at Illinois, know that their best player will not be playing tonight. Time now for one final thing.
Before Greg and Eli get out of here for the day, they each have one final thing they think you should know to make it through the rest of your day. So here are Greg and Eli with one final thing.
Well, right now, nothing is slowing down the Utah Jazz train, but maybe some allegations will. Utah Jazz Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations Dennis Lindsey on Wednesday denied allegations of making bigoted comments during an exit interview with former player Elijah Millsap way back in 2015. While issuing a series of posts Wednesday on Twitter about how bigotry is still very well present and is a problem that needs to be addressed, Millsap alleged that Lindsey made bigot remarks in his exit interview while conversing with Quinn Snyder. Quote, "If you say one more word, I'll cut your black ass and send you back to Louisiana." In a statement to the Desert News about the allegation, Lindsey said, "I categorically deny making that statement." Jazz coach Quinn Snyder on Wednesday said he has no recollection of that conversation. "I can't fathom Dennis saying something like that," Snyder told reporters after Wednesday's game. Wow.
So I just did some quick looking at the Grizzlies, the second half schedule. We talked about how tough it was. So they've got they never have more than one day off in a row. They don't have 2 days off in a row. It's always a game every other day at the very least.
Wow.
So the entire thing, they have 28 off days from the time the second half starts to the end of it. They have 28 days off. Among those, 20 of those days include travel. They have 8 days in this whole second half of the season where they are not playing and not changing cities. That's a 2+ month stretch that they have that. From March 10th to May 16th, 8 days where they're off and staying in the same city.
I think I read where they're projected to win 12 of the 40 games. If the Grizzlies somehow went 500 with that schedule, it would be nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, it would be. It's going to be very hard. And because I expect we're going to see a lot of rest. We're going to see a lot of DNP rests in the second half.
Load management.
Yes, gosh, yes, absolutely. That is a term we will hear an awful lot. As we say goodbye, Adam Schefter reporting that Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has not demanded a trade. However, his agent told ESPN if he were to be traded, the only teams he would consider, the Cowboys, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Bears. So there you go. But again, he wants to continue to play in Seattle. We'll see. Big thanks to Cody Toppert, Mike Bianco, and Colin Ward-Henninger for joining us on the program today. Tomorrow, we'll talk Tigers with Matt Dillon. We'll talk Grizzlies with Parker Fleming. We get 10 in a row, the game show that has swept the nation. Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio is coming up next. For Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd, Gabe Kuhn, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.